Welcome everyone to Comics from the Multiverse, episode 518. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Matt.
Hey, I'm back, and I'm not stuck in digital hell. So, and my voice is back.
That's
which
right.
is good.
That's
I
right.
have to do a lot of talking about my own today.
Yeah, camera's working again for the video version, and you don't sound raspy as hell. So that's nice.
Yep.
That's nice. As a DC Comics podcast, every one we get together, we talk about the books we read this week. Coming up on today's show, we've got Absolute Flash issue 18, Absolute Green Arrow issue 4, Superman Unlimited issue 16, Wonder Woman 36, Nightwing 141, Batwoman issue 6, Deathstroke the Terminator issue 6, Dark Knights of Steel 2 issue 2, and in a Patreon book, we'll be talking about Green Arrow issue 30. So that is what's coming up on today's show. Plus, we have Solicits. It's Solicits week, so we got all November Solicits to talk about. So we'll get into that in a little bit as well. But, first of all, how was your week, Matt?
It's pretty good. Better than last week in terms of actually getting rest and not feeling I got hit by a truck and then dragged along concrete. So that's good. That said, I didn't use that time wisely. Just kind of vegged out, read. I did, Pete. Here's some big news. So Lantern dropped on Sunday, and that had me in a mood. So I finally started The Penguin.
Oh, I assume you liked it then, because then that probably
Yes.
means you were enthusiastic about trying more stuff.
Yes. So
Okay.
yep. And so now we're two issues. They're very comic-like. 2 episodes into Penguin, and I've been trying to fit it back in, but it's one of those shows that needs your full attention, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I can't be doing chores, cleaning up after dinner, folding laundry, watching Oz Cobb run his shenanigans. So yeah. And Lanterns, I'm sure I saw you already reviewed it. So your thoughts are out there.
Yeah, I think I sat and talked to myself for about 45 minutes about that first Lanterns episode.
Yeah.
Let
me tell you.
There was a lot to talk about. There was a lot of stuff there, a lot of good, a couple of mediocre things, but mostly interesting stuff. Need to see where it's going before I know how enthusiastic I'm going to be, but it was a promising enough start, I would say.
Restored the feeling, if you will. Yeah. Let me just say, as a longtime Green Lantern fan, it felt nice after dealing with the fallout of the Ryan Reynolds abomination for years, and people thinking that's what Green Lantern was. It was nice that the show, through one episode, seems to mostly get things.
I don't know if that's even a true statement, no, because I feel like not enough people even saw that movie for it to be, like what people thought Green Lantern was. I think most people just didn't even know what Green Lantern was at all still after that movie.
Maybe the people that I know then have given me hell for it for years. So, and when I had read like the creators of Lantern say there was a True Detective inspiration, I didn't realize how much it was going to be doing the timey-wimey jump back and forth thing like True Detective season 1. So, yeah, I'm excited though.
I mean, I need to see more of the story before I can be super enthusiastic. It does feel like it's trying to be kind of a HBO show, perhaps more than it's trying to be a Green Lantern show. But which is not to say that I wasn't enjoying the Green Lantern stuff in there, but there was definitely stretches in that first episode where I was feeling kind of like, oh, we're doing the slow burn thing here. We're interested in some side characters that I don't think are that interesting. But
do you know how many episodes it is? Is it 10? Is it 8?
8, I think.
Okay.
So set your expectations accordingly. But I do like the two actors, the two leads who are playing Hal and John are both good, so that's a plus.
You watch significantly more TV than I do, and Kyle Chandler tends to be more of a TV actor. Have you ever seen him be bad in anything? Because I can't recall.
I mean, the funny thing is I don't even think I've seen him in a lot of TV, despite the fact that I've seen a lot of TV. I feel like I've seen him pop up in movies more than I have TV. He's very solid and dependable. I mean, sometimes he's in crap though, and like there's nothing he can do about it. But
nothing he can do.
Yeah. Nothing.
He's on that one Netflix show that I watched 2 episodes of, and then forgot to go back to. About it was all family, not quite mob, but there's some crime elements to it. What's his name? The Australian actor was in there. I can see his face. He was in Rogue One. He was in, God, what's his name? He's the one that Vader makes the quip to. I cannot pull his name out from anywhere. But yeah, there's a Netflix show that had them. I watched like 2 episodes.
Talking about Ben Mendelsohn?
Yes, Ben Mendelsohn, that guy. But yeah, him and Kyle Chandler played brothers.
I did not know he was Australian, so that would never click for me until you give me the example.
That's how good of an actor he is.
Yeah. Rogue One's not good though. Just be clear, Rogue One's a shit movie. So we can move on. Like Lanterns was a promising start. I look forward to more. It's nice to be invested in something that I might be enjoying weekly, but it's only been 1 episode though, so we'll see how it goes. I will say it was a little distracting having Kelly MacDonald in it though, because I found myself just trying to like catch her accent slipping the entire time rather than paying attention to what she was doing as a character. So yeah, I didn't realize that's who that was until when the show ended. I went to go look at the cast list, and I was like, "Oh, that's Merida from Brave." So that's all I've ever seen her in. I think. I'm sure I've seen her in other things. God, you're such a Disney nerd. That's Meredith from Brave. You goddamn loser. She was literally on Department Q, which I'm actually also watching right now. But she was in Trainspotting. She's been in a bunch of stuff over the last several decades.
I've seen Trainspotting.
Yeah, obviously she was much younger in that because that was 90s, but yeah. Anyway, there you go. That's a bit of Lanterns chat, but yeah, I did do a review for the YouTube channel, MaleFuzz TV. If you want to check out my full thoughts talking about everything and how they chose to portray certain things and the things they're maybe teasing and whatnot. But
by the way, that Netflix show with Kyle Chandler and Ben Mendelsohn was called Bloodline. So I just had to search for it.
Sounds as forgettable as everything else Netflix puts out.
Yep. So, but yeah, we're here to talk about comics. So
that we are.
What you got for me?
Well, we got the Kindle rankings to start with. For all we know, it's the ComiXology Top 10. Just looking at how they're ranked by sales amount on Amazon's Kindle store page at the time of recording. Matt can guess what the top 3 DC books are, and whether or not the top DC book is also the top book in general. But take it away. Yeah.
So for DC, I'm going to roll out the 2 Absolute books, but I'm going to go Absolute Flash at 1, Absolute Green Arrow as 2, and then Nightwing at 3.
Interesting. So that's pretty wrong in multiple ways. Although, yeah, you're very wrong in some ways actually. So number 1 is Avengers Armageddon. Okay. With a very, very beat up Wolverine in the cover. Then number 2 is Absolute Green Arrow. So you got the absolutes the wrong way around at least.
Yep.
Number 3 is Uncanny X-Men. Number 4 is Thor, which is issue 800 notably. So I think that's maybe got a boost because it's a milestone number. Although that means almost nothing with the main Marvel constantly renumber their books, and like when you actually do the checking to see how all the different like volumes add up, you realize that they're including like one shots and annuals to get to certain milestones and all sorts of shenanigans.
I mean, it says Thor 800, but it is the Mortal Thor, which is issue 14. So yeah, they'll be back to that regular numbering.
That's especially dodgy, actually. The fact that we're including a bunch of books that have different titles. Like no.
Yeah.
No, that's like bundling Batman and Detective together and saying that that's one numbering. No. Bullshit.
If that was the case, you'd be in like the 3000s.
Yeah, something like we'd be on Batman 3000 by now if we were doing that. In fact, honestly, that's probably a low ball on it with all the Batman books that have existed. Number 5 is Absolute Flash. Number 6 is G.I. Joe. Number 7 is Invincible Universe Battle Beast. Okay. Number 8 is Dark Knights of Steel 2.
Oh.
Number 9 is Superman Unlimited, so that got maybe a little bit of a boost as being part of the crossover.
Yeah.
And number 10 is Daredevil. And then outside the top 10, we have Wonder Woman at 11, New Titans at 12, we got World's Finest at 15, and then finally, what you thought was number 3, Nightwing, is at 17. So, yeah.
So, I'll be honest, League of Comic Geeks got me on that one because that was the third ranked DC book.
Is that all you're doing to guess? Is just seeing how it's listed on there?
So I look at that and then I search my feelings and then I reorganize it. But most of the time it's pretty in there because this is what people are pulling. When there's a number 1, that affects things because not as many people, right, pull that automatically.
Sure.
But yeah. And it is the input of my information. It's not the total information.
Okay. I'm just checking.
Because this did have Absolute Green Arrow 1 and Absolute Flash 2. I flipped them.
Ah, okay. Well, maybe you should have listened to it then, because they were right.
And then you would have yelled at me for doing that one. So hey, I gotta stay ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Nightwing's not actually been that high in the top 10s typically. I think we're always saying it should be higher. So I think you're just wishfully misremembering how well it normally does on this Kindle rankings.
League of Comic Geeks is leading me astray.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's
actually it has it ranked 3rd overall on their site when it has all of them, and it has Daredevil for Marvel pulled number 1 on their list. So, and that came in at what you said 10.
No, that was sales? 5. No, that was 10. You're right. That was 10. I mean, they're very different metrics. League of Comic Geeks obviously only applies to people who have bothered to sign up and actually make pull lists, and I do find it tends to veer a little bit more towards DC on League of Comic Geeks. For whatever reason, I don't know, but DC fans are nerds, I guess, and like to keep track of these things. But either way, kind of a weird week actually. I guess a couple of big milestone Marvel books and number 1s kind of get in there, push some stuff down. The Superman crossovers maybe bumping up a book that normally is a bit lower. You know, there's definitely some things shifting around here a little bit, because I think if you didn't have that Armageddon book, which admittedly is not number 1, it's a number 3, and you didn't have Thor 800, I could see like a lot of those higher books been bumped up a slot or 2 otherwise, but there you go. That is the Kindle rankings. We have solicits for November to talk about. I don't know if there's anything juicy in here. We'll find out as we go through. I've not looked at them at all. But we're starting strong with the November solicits because we're starting with Legion of Superheroes issue 3 by Joshua Williamson. No thank you. What else you want from me?
I just love the no thank you. It's so formal.
Okay, I'll reference a Marvel thing. Just imagine old Cap saying, "No, I don't think I will."
Yep,
that's how I feel on the matter. Yeah, and anyway, and so then we got Jonah Hex and the Shadow of Death issue 2, the Michael Walsh book, which was announced, of course, last month. The Demon issue 2, which of course was also announced last month. This is James Harron. So obviously we did have a few new things because of the con and stuff last month that was announced, so I expect we'll see a few things like that popping up. Teen Titans issue 3, the Kyle Higgins book that's coming up with the weird team that's not lighting the fire under me by any stretch, but we'll see.
No, but in this there's a curious thing in the solicits, and it says Eugene Choi, who is a member of the Shazam family, makes an appearance. So that's curious.
That's a little interesting, pulling him in. Then we got Doom Patrol issue 3, which again, really curious to see how that turns out. Not familiar with the creative team on this one, which is Darcy Van Polgeest and Nico Henriken. But I hope it turns out to be good because I would like a good Doom Patrol book. Doom Patrol is one of those things that I didn't really have any attachment to when we started the show, but between reading a little bit of Morrison's run, the TV show, that one, it was like what, a 7-issue book we got, Unstoppable, wasn't Unstoppable Doom Patrol, what was it called?
I don't remember, but it was good. It was a fun read.
There was an adjective, I'm sure there was an adjective in front of it, but regardless, that is Doom Patrol issue 3. Then we got the Fury of Firestorm issue 8, the penultimate issue. So we're building up to the ending. That got extended from 6 to 9. So curious to see how he's using those last 3 issues to give a bigger send off and maybe more of an epilogue. Then we got a Dead Man issue 6, which continues on. Looks just as quirky as it always does. Then we got Barbara Gordon Breakout issue 7. This is apparently teasing a trial, and Two-Face is on the cover, so that should be a fun time.
That cover, who is that? Oh, it's a Fornes. That's why. I was like, yo, that cover, that is a work of art. Which artist? Because it's vaguely Michael Lark. And I'm like, no, I've just been reading Gotham Central again. But no, it's Fornes, and it looks fantastic.
Yeah, I wonder, because I guess part of me thought when they announced Barbara Gordon Breakout, it was maybe just a 6-issue mini, but here's issue 7, so is it planned for 12? Is it technically just an ongoing, because it's got however much story? But it doesn't, it feels like something with a finite story. It feels like something that would has going to have an ending. It's
going to have to end when she breaks out.
Precisely. Precisely. So I'm just wondering how long they've got their plan for. Maybe there's a specific point that they've planned for because it's going to tie back into what Batman's doing or something, sometime early next year or whatever.
But it's curious that Two-Face is there, and on this cover, it's got Two-Face holding up the scales of justice with Babs on one side and Di on the other. And we all know that Di is supposed to be Two-Face's daughter. Not Harvey's, but Two-Face's. So very curious to have them on here.
Yes.
But yeah, I will be buying that. Even if I don't get that book normally physically, I will be buying it for that cover. Because I love Fornes.
Yes. Unfortunately, there's no such thing as a two-sided die to go with the whole Two-Face thing.
That's called a coin.
That's a coin, yes. Which Two-Face does have. He famously has a coin, so I guess that makes sense. The 4-sided die, I think, still is the lowest you can go. I don't know if...
And then even then, right? It's not just 4 sides. It's just 4 things on the side. If I know my die.
Well, it's 4, but it's but the points that are kind of, the side that's up that decides the number are the points that stick up because it's like a little pyramid, right? So
it's 2 pyramids put together.
No, it's 1 pyramid.
Is it just 1 pyramid?
No, you're thinking of a D8. You're thinking of.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I've actually got some D&D die over there. I can go get them and we can examine them if you like. Anyway, that's Barbara Gordon Breakout. We got Zatanna issue 8, which I think you've dropped as well now.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up with right now with everything else. So yeah.
I'm not heartbroken about it. Batwoman issue 9 is next. So that's cool. Leonardo Fernandez on the art on this one. That should be interesting.
It'll look great.
Especially since I've not been feeling the Danny art. Not that Danny was on this week's issue, as we'll talk about later. And I noticed that quite quickly. I was like, wait, this is someone different. This is not the Danny art. So
I didn't realize that Fernandez was the artist on the Old Guard. So that's cool, teaming back up with Rucka.
Yeah. I never read The Old Guard. I did see the movie Netflix put out, and it was boring as shit. But I assume the book was better.
I read a single issue, and it wasn't for me.
Really? Okay.
Of The Old Guard, yeah.
Fair enough. Deathstroke, the Terminator, issue 9 is ticking along. We got Lobo issue 9, also ticking along, but we will be avoiding that. Thank you very much. And then we got Absolute Batman Beyond Arkham issue 1. Is we doing a one shot here? Yeah, it's a special, yeah. So yeah, Scott Snyder and Frank Thierry dive into the disturbing origin of Professor Pig and the Joker's worldwide arcs. Interesting. Absolute Professor Pig. I'm very curious. We see him on the cover there. He's still got a pig mask on, but he's wearing a pretty dapper suit and a red tie. Otherwise,
dapper suit, a leather-looking mask, and he's holding a hacksaw. Very sinister.
Yes. Well, consider me interested. Also, that is we got Francavilla cover here as well, so that's also worth drawing attention to. It's always nice to get Francavilla art of any kind. Then we got Absolute Wonder Woman issue 26. So, not much to say really. Obviously, the book's great, and we're looking forward to more. Absolute Superman issue 25, the finale of the current arc, seemingly, with this one. So
got two artists. We got Faria and Giandomenico.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, Faria's been on that book a few times now, so he feels like the regular artist, and we'll see what Giandomenico ends up doing. Then we got Absolute Catwoman issue 5. That's continuing on, and that'll be drawing near a conclusion, because I think that's just a 6-issue mini, if I recall correctly. Then we got Absolute Flash issue 21, teasing some Ray Palmer shenanigans, so we'll see how that goes. No cover on that yet. Same as well for Absolute Green Lantern 20, which is next up. So we'll see. Interestingly, though, this actually says in the solicit text that this is Joe and the others returning from space. So I'm actually quite excited about that, just to get away from the space stuff for a bit. But yeah, that's coming in November. Some of the variants are there, interestingly, actually, for Absolute Green Lantern, just not the main cover. So I think that's what you will. Oh, there is a new thing. Gangs of Gotham issue 1. Christopher Cantwell with Mike Henderson on the art. Interesting. This is the aftermath of Batman Bad Seeds. Anarchy rules. Anarchy has been given an ultimatum by the Taurus. Unify the 100 low-level street gangs not currently under the Taurus control or die. So it's an anarchy gang related Gotham book.
Well, Cantwell is doing Green Arrow that we're reading, right? Is that Condon?
That's Condon, yeah. That just sounds wrong. Yeah, no, it's not Cantwell.
Which one's Cantwell? Because I feel like I know that name, but I don't know if I've read too much.
I definitely know his name. I don't know if... I feel like I'd remember him better if I was enthusiastic about the things that I've read that he's done.
Yes.
Would be my guess. Because I do recognize his name. He pops up occasionally, for sure.
Yeah, so I'm gonna reserve my opinions on this one until I remember what Cantwell wrote.
Well, I mean, aside from the creators, though, like, I mean, does the concept of an anarchy? I mean, I like
street level Gotham.
Sure, I do like that it's tying into kind of like who's in charge of the criminal underworld in the Bat book right now. Like, it's kind of like extending that out a little bit. But it just kind of depends on the quality, though, if it feels like it's worth reading, to be honest.
So Cantwell did that Plastic Man No More book that we read.
Well, that was pretty good.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's not bad.
How it goes.
Okay.
Anarchy, not a fan of, though. Anarchy's a weird character. I've never read a story where I came away being like, I don't mind this Anarchy guy. Like, he's just kind of there.
I don't know. I mean, I guess saying you're not a fan of is actually a very neutral thing if you take it literally, but I feel like there's a negative tinge to it when you say that. I don't think I feel negative towards Anarchy. I just don't really feel much of anything towards Anarchy. So, I don't know. We'll see. Next up, we got Batman issue 15. So, be a Back to Fractions run proper after all the Bad Seed stuff. We have Batman 2026 Annual issue 1. Which is Matt Fraction writing, but it has Brian Ching and Jesse Lonogram on the art. So it is related. I don't think it's the next chapter in the story per se, but it is dealing with the Taurus and that kind of stuff. So it is tying into the main story. So it seems like it will be a worthwhile, if not essential, part of the run. So, which is cool. I appreciate when Annual feels like that. Batgirl issue 25 with a slightly bigger oversized issue to celebrate the milestone, which is cool.
So it says they're bringing back the original artist that co-created Cass for a backup, Damian Scott.
Nice.
I think that's really cool. I like that.
That's nice. It's got a really cool cover as well, actually. Here. So yeah, I am very pleased that book's hitting issue 25, because I think part of me thought it would be lucky to make it to 18. So the fact that we're getting 25 and they're not even saying it's the last one is nice. So hopefully that means it's doing well enough to continue on and get a chance to grow and whatnot. Then we got Catwoman issue 93. So that's ticking along. A nice cover on that, actually. Harley Quinn issue 68's there, and then we have Detective Comics 1115. 19, which notably says Clark Kent murderer begins. What? It's Detective Comics. What's Clark got to do with this?
Well, Tom Taylor is writing it. We all know he loves soups. But Clark Kent, how is he a murderer? He's an oaf. He can barely hold his coffee cup still. Like, Clark Kent, manslaughterer, yes. But murderer? Oof.
I suspect he's been set up and Batman's going to be having to clear his name. I would assume that's going to be the plot. I mean, it even says it there. Yeah, the one man who can clear his name, Batman. There we go. Right, nailed it. Then we got Nightwing 144, which is still paying off stuff we're doing currently in the run, which is really nice. Plot with the mayor and all that. And then we got Action Comics 1104. Lex Luthor Year 1 continues. I forgot we were doing that. Oh man, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes. Then we have Superman issue 44. What are you laughing at?
It's still Williamson, but it's Germanico, so I feel like you're going to be pulled in different directions.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I was reading the Williamson Superman run anyway. I only paused because of the Superboy Prime bullshit. I always anticipated I'd be reading that again after the crossover anyway, but I mean, obviously the expectations are reserved, as all we'll say. Supergirl issue 19, which they're calling Supergirl No More. We're doing a gold kryptonite story apparently, so yeah, we'll see how that plays out. It looks like our little team's all wearing the S emblem though to try and make up for our absence. So we'll see.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. Superman Unlimited issue 19. Tomorrow Man's on the cover with that glorious mask. I say that ironically. This is not like when I'm talking about Kyle Rayner's mask, and I genuinely mean it's a glorious mask because it is a glorious mask, and I love it. It's
like when I say Kyle's mask is glorious.
Yes, it's a lot more akin to that for sure.
Like the costume, I get. I like the costume. I like that it makes a vaguely bat symbol.
It's very Nightwing.
Yeah, like I like that. The weird half cowl though. It's.
Although
I don't like it.
I will say, was there ever much of a reason why it's a vaguely bat style symbol? No. Right? I guess maybe the argument is that Nightwing comes from a Nightwing or from a Superman Krypton lore thing, and maybe it's got something to do with that. But I don't recall there being much of a reason for it, other than just I don't know. It'll look good, I guess.
Dan Slott had an idea.
Yeah.
Didn't put it in exposition. So now we got this. We got the reason for the mask, and he's got to cover his face.
But it was a stupid reason. But,
yeah. But I don't know. Hopefully it's good. I have no problem with Tomorrow Man in the story. I just don't like looking at that costume.
It's kind of weird that there's no version of the S emblem sort of baked into it somehow. But hey, still, I mean, if that's the extent of my complaints, I mean, whatever. It's not a big deal.
It's not even a T for Tomorrow Man. It's vaguely a W.
So that's what he's doing. He's the Trinity. So he's got the Superman colors. He's got like a bat-shaped logo, but it's kind of a W for Wonder Woman. There you go. He's honoring the whole Trinity is what he's doing.
Yep. But he can't call himself Trinity because that's Wonder Woman's daughter.
No, of course not. No.
Yes. So he's gonna be Tomorrow Man.
Trinity Man.
Yeah, Trinity Man.
Yeah. Yep. Trit Man. Tritty. Big old Tritty. There you go. That's his name.
Big old Tritties.
All right, next up, Emperor Aquaman issue 23. So that's going along. Yeah, it's funny when you quit a book like 2 or 3 issues in, and then all of a sudden it's at issue 23, and you're like, "Whoa, where did that time go?" It's like, weird.
I'm looking at the cover and be like, "Yo, what is the Sinestro Corps doing there?" Cool.
That's a good question. It's a very good question. All right, Wonder Woman 39. Continuing King and Sempier's run, as you would expect. Then we got Justice League Unlimited issue 25. So another Mark Waid book's going into the high-ish numbers. Congratulations to Mark Waid.
I feel like DC is just playing makeup to him for years of DDO's mistreatment.
Yeah, as long as they keep giving us the Batman and Robin year ones and the other interesting miniseries that he does, fine. You know what? Give him his World's Finest and his Unlimited that I don't think is that good, and I don't really want to read every month to his heart's content. But yeah. Green Lantern issue 41 next up. No cover on that one, aside from a variant, of course. But yeah. Although that said, the variant is well, it's not the best art in the world, but it's just it's a nice couples cover with Kyle and what's her face?
Kyle and Jade.
Jade, thank you. Yes.
Yeah. But it's also got Godlewski and art, so the seems to be just sticking to the one artist there.
Hopefully, until things are running late and things change, which is possible. Green Lantern Corps issue 22. Same with that, no cover. Then we got
New Titans.
Wait a minute. Kyle Rayner's in both books. Was there a crossover happening? Maybe there is, I don't know. Anyway, New Titans is up next, like you say.
That's just a cover for the variant, but he's not listed in the Green Lantern. So maybe they shifted, right?
Oh, so
where Hal space stuff takes precedence in Green Lantern, and then in Core. So
he's only in Core now, is what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
Okay, all right, fair enough. That's disappointing, given that I dropped Core, but we'll see. Then we got New Titans issue 41. So that's ticking along. The Flash issue 39. Which I've been enjoying that run. I'm happy to keep seeing that continue. Batman and Robin year 1, the Dynamic Duos issue 4. I'm done making fun of the title. I'm just happy it exists, so we'll look forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, what else are you gonna add to it? It's a mouthful still, but we're just calling it year 1 part 2.
Clayface Celebrity Dirt issue 5. Penultimate issue.
That's a cover. That's a cover. Horrific.
Yeah, it's basically Clayface is wearing a clear mask, but the human face that he had pretending to be human, like behind it, has started to melt. So it's behind the clear mask. It's a creepy visual, for sure. So interesting stuff. World's Finest issue 57. And again, like I was saying, Mark Waid's 2 apology books just keep going forever. Which, to be fair, they do tend to rank quite well in the Kindle rankings, so people are getting them. It's not like he's just getting to do it even with low sales.
Oh man, I might have to get caught up by this one because this has a premise that I'm quite interested in finding out. Roz and Ivy, but Roz has created his own horseman, which includes Ivy, Tokamak, I don't know who that is, Ocean Master, and Queen Bee. And so, what is going on? I am actually quite interested. Don't hold me to that, though, because that could be a very busy week, for all we know.
It still sounds like the same kind of messy toy box approach that that book had before, so I'm not that enticed by it, if I'm honest.
But I'm interested in seeing him play with those toys.
DC's Naughty List. This is your yearly Christmas 80-page anthology book, which... we will definitely not be doing. I mean, I remember the first couple of years we did make an effort to do these books, but there was always very little to say about them because it was mostly just these short stories that had almost nothing going on. So, but hey, if you want the 80-page Christmas special, it's out at the end of November.
And it seems to be all about the villains, right? So it says a rogues gallery of baddies, including Poison Ivy, Livewire, Catman, Mr. Freeze, and more. So that's why it's the Naughty List, which I like.
Sure. Superman the Stranger issue 3. This is your Golden Age-esque Superman limited series that's coming out. Bizarro Your Nun issue 4, so that's still coming. I guess that's been one of those ones that's been like an issue every 3 months or something like that. It feels like. Then we got Darkness of Steel 2 issue 5. So getting more of that. Supergirl Survive issue 5. Enter Zod. Oh well, at least that's expected, unlike a lot of the other things they've thrown in some of those issues so far.
True. That makes sense.
We got 100 Bullets US of Anger issue 5, so right at the Vertigo section now. Black Tower, The Raven Conspiracy, issue 4, Ram V's book, which obviously is not, will be starting later this month, I assume, if that's issue 4 that's out in November. And then we have Bleeding Hearts issue 10, and we have End of Life issue 10. And after that, we have Facsimiles, which I'll just kind of skim past those. No need for that. But when we get down to the collected editions, once I've done scrolling the Facsimiles, here we go. Absolute Batman Deluxe Edition Volume 1 hardcover. Oh, this has got an interesting cover, actually, because I can picture this, and I can picture the texture that it's going to have. That's different, because it's the Absolute Batman logo in the middle, and then just like a sort of textured sort of grey-black in the rest of it. And I can almost assume that Bat logo is going to be glossy, but the rest of it's going to have kind of a grainy,
like a pleather,
kind of texture. So I wonder if they're going to keep this consistent. I mean, maybe there'll be one underneath this, there isn't. But I'm wondering if they'll do like a Superman one, and it'll be the same idea, just with like a, maybe blue and like the Superman logo with the same texture or something. Same with Wonder Woman. I'll be curious. But either way, this I assume is just volumes 1 and 2 bundled together, like a lot of these deluxes tend to be in a slightly oversized format.
1 through 14. So the Zoo and Abomination. Yeah,
first 2 arcs. That tends to be how these work. Is they'll, this will be a bigger page, of course, but 400 or so pages. This will be a very premium feeling way to collect this stuff, and I expect at least the trinity of Absolute books plus Martian Manhunter, I think, will get this treatment for sure. So, that's neat. And Batman makes sense to be the first one to get it. So, it's tough to recommend waiting for these to read it this way for the first time. But if you happen to have not read it yet, this will be a nice way of doing it. So,
I was at the. I found a Barnes and Noble gift card in my wallet. I don't know how it got there, but it's kind of out my wallet. And so we went to Barnes and Noble, and we were walking around for stuff to spend my gift card on. And there were a couple guys looking for the first volume for the Zoo, which was really cool. Which hearing people going to bookstores to find trades, and the guy working was like, "Yep, right here. People have been in all the time." So I don't know if the collection just got released, or if there was some kind of trade paperback that hit, but it seemed to be a buzz last Saturday.
It's been a while since, because I think at least Volume 2 is out now already, so it's been a while since Volume 1 came out, and I think that might have been one of the ones that got the hardcover and softcover at the same time. That said, though, it was common for the softcover to come like a year later, so it could be possible the softcover just came out, but yeah. No, I mean the Absolute books have been selling well in collected form as well as singles, so not surprising to hear that. Next up, we got Supergirl Zoo Per Heroes Scent of Justice, which is one of those young adult graphic novels by Rob Justice. Then we got World's Finest Volume 10 Warlords hardcover, as well as a softcover. So, just continuing that Mark Waid run. This is issues 50 to 53 plus an annual. So a pretty short collection, all things considered. But
it's like, what, 5 issues?
It's 5 issues, but the annual's like double size. So I guess it's close to
about 6.
Yeah, but still, it feels a bit on the light side. Then we got Batman Detective Comics Volume 4 Flight. So this is the Tom Taylor run, issues 1107 to 1112. This is the Prenon story with
what we're reading right now.
Green Arrow and that. Softcover of that as well. Nightwing Volume 4 Bloodhaven Lore hardcover and softcover, 136 to 141, which is the arc that we are just wrapping up, I think, in Nightwing. And then we got Poison Ivy Volume 8 Grassroots Monarchy hardcover and softcover. So Wilson's running that, man. It's like up to Volume 8. Like she's going a long time.
Yeah, it is that one that only was supposed to be a mini, and now we're on to Volume 8. So
like it
keeps going.
It's almost reaching numbers now where the eventual omnibus might have to have 2 volumes to collect the whole run. Where you can still fit it in one right now, but only just like if it goes past issue 60, like we're into 2 volume territory. Supergirl Volume 3, Reign of the Superboys, Hero of Candor, softcover. It's a clunky title, but I guess they want to brand all the Reign of the Superboys as Reign of the Superboys as well as their actual titles.
One of those characters on that cover is not actually in the book. Spoiler.
Technically true.
I'll let y'all decide.
That's funny. That's funny. And one of those characters on the cover I wish wasn't in the book. I'll let you decide which one I mean.
Pete, it's called Supergirl. How dare you?
You know what I'm talking about, Connor, Matt.
I know, but the joke was right there.
Superman Unlimited Volume 3, Reign of the Superboys, Tomorrow Man hardcover. Obviously, that just wrapped up before the crossover as well. Also softcover for that one. That's annoying that that's hardcover, and presumably the main super books are hardcovers, but Supergirl's softcover. So if you're collecting them all, it's like either you want them all to match, or you're going to have one that's a softcover, and that's annoying to me because you might like the hardcovers more.
Yep, rude.
Yeah, Batman by Neil Adams, Absolute Edition, Volume 2, 1970 to 1996 hardcover. Yeah. So obviously it's quite clear what that is. The only thing I don't like about these collections a little bit is the ones that are more based on an artist or a writer, but especially the artist, is that it tends to be more of like a kind of a random bag of issues, even though it's all, it has that cohesive thing of all the art looks the same, but it's not like he was doing like, it's not like a writer's run where it's all like running on to one another. It's more like a best of collection almost. But other than that, though,
three of the four writers credited though are Denny O'Neil, Len Wein, and Marv Wolfman. The other one's Frank Robbins, who I'm not that familiar with, but I'm sure is a legend in his own right. So like
they're heavy hitters.
Yeah, you're getting a hodgepodge, but I'm sure these are all classic stories.
Yeah, and I'd hope they're probably all standalone or two-parters. Like, there's not like you're going to get half of an arc or anything like that, but still.
Yeah, it says collects Neil Adams stories from Detective 404, 407, 408, and 410, and then Batman. There's a bunch of standalone issues in here.
I'm just someone who like would I guess like regardless of the collection of the artist, I guess I would just prefer like here's like this year of Detective Comics and Batman in a collection, and just like everything could be neat and in order. But I'm just an OCD weirdo like that. So anyway, New Titans Volume 1 features Tomorrow softcover, start of the Tape Run Battle to New Titans run. Then we got DC's Finest, Batgirl Silent Night, which is the start of the original Cassandra Cain Batgirl story, but it also includes the issues from No Man's Land that introduce her as well. So this is actually arguably a bit more comprehensive if you want to just get into Cassandra Cain, because it has all of her introductory stuff in No Man's Land, plus issues 1 through 6 of her first series. So those will actually be at the end of the book, because all the other stuff is before that. But that's interesting.
Also, this is the long out of print crossover Ghost Batgirl 1 through 4. So that's cool. So they found a way to get that back into print by throwing in this collection.
I mean, honestly, the only downside to this is I'm not sure if some of that No Man's Land stuff is going to feel a little bit weird because it's pulled out of No Man's Land and like the rest of the context around it might be missing. But still, though, I get why they're doing this, though. I get why, because there's at least a couple of two-parters in No Man's Land that focus really heavily on Cassandra, so I can see why this is should work in theory.
Yeah, because it says Batman 567 and 569. So were they doing like an alternating thing?
No.
To where
No. So the way it worked was it was rotate. It was the same as the Superman Triangle era. It was like Batman, Detective, Shadow of the Bat, and then whatever the fourth one was, and it was rotating through them like that. So let's say the two-parter in question is probably Batman 567 and Detective 732. That's probably back-to-back two-parter.
Okay.
Right, and then 569 and 734 is probably a back-to-back two-parter.
Okay.
That's how it was working.
Okay.
So yeah, and what I said might not be exactly correct, but that's just the example I'm giving you to the way it would would line up. Anyway, DC's Finest, Catwoman, Creatures of the Night. This is the Dixon, Dennis O'Neil, Devin Grayson, Doug Mensch stuff. Catwoman 33 to 53, so this is maybe the second or third volume of this, which is cool. 600 plus pages, though. It's pretty beefy. In fact, so was that Batgirl one. That was almost 700 pages. Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah, that's 20 issues to start off with of Catwoman 33 to 53. So like that's hefty on its own, and then you're throwing a whole bunch of other ones.
Yeah. So interesting stuff. And then we got DC's finest romance, Escape from Loneliness. I have zero idea what this is.
Yeah.
Return to those moonstruck days of the Silver Age when comics readers everywhere could find an endless supply of romantic inspiration for 12 cents an issue in the peerless pages of DC's legendary line of love story anthologies. These passionate tales of romance and intrigue, carefully crafted by a host of comics' finest hands, including John Romita, Robert Kanigher, Mike Stokowski, Phyllis Reed, and others, will leave you breathless and yearning for more. Collects Falling in Love 58 to 61, Girls Romance 91 to 94, Girls Love Stories 94 to 97, Heartthrobs 83 to 85, and Secret Hearts 86 to 89. I think what gets me most about that solicit is that there's like 6 different books that were ongoing that were all falling into this category, which is quite funny to me. It wasn't just like 1 or 2.
Well, and there's kind of like girls' romances and girls' love stories, right? So it's like, oh, superheroes? Those are for the boys.
Yeah.
But here are girls. Enjoy these women. That's so funny.
It feels
the Silver Age.
It feels very dated in that sense, but it's nice that they're making them available for history's sake.
And just and archiving, right? They're putting them in print somewhere. So
yeah, cool. and I'm sure there's some nostalgia for this for certain people of an age.
I mean, King did try to bring back romance comics because there was an issue that I picked up that was him and Evely had done, and I tried to read it and I was like, this is not for me. I love this creative team, but not for me. I don't know how long that lasted. That might have been like 6 issues, but yeah.
Okay. DC's finest, Wonder Woman, Judgment and Infinity. This is Wonder Woman issues 280 to 305. Which, I mean, we got Jerry Conway, Marv Wolfman, amongst others, in the writer list. So, this is some classic Wonder Woman stuff from. When's this? Bronze Age? Maybe Silver Age? Probably Bronze Age.
Yeah, because there's the new Teen Titans 11 through 12 in here as well. So it's got to be some Donna Troy stuff.
Early 80s stuff then. Okay, early to mid 80s. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And a never before reprinted promotional comic, Superman, the Computer Masters of Metropolis #1. So yeah, definitely screams early to mid 80s.
Interesting that's in a Wonder Woman collection. I'm assuming it heavily features Wonder Woman, but it's just interesting that it's there. And then we got Superman DC Compact Comics box set. So this is a bunch of Superman Compact comics they've already put out, just bundled together in a box set.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's got Birthright, it's got Superman Batman Volume 1,
Secret Identity,
Supergirl Women of Tomorrow, Man of Steel, the John Byrne, and Superman Brainiac. Superman Brainiac's kind of a weird one though, because that was all a lead in to something else, so this is not really a standalone story, but you know.
No, but me thinks it's going to have a lot to do with Man of Tomorrow.
Interesting.
So that's why it's getting a push. Because I've seen Superman Brainiac pop up a couple places going back into print. So yeah, if I had an inkling, that's it.
I mean, yeah, okay. Also explains Women of Tomorrow being included because obviously the movie came out and you know, part of the whole thing. We got 100 Bullets, First Shot, Last Call, DC Compact Comics Edition, which is 100 Bullets 1 through 5. Only 1 through 5? That's tiny.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's $10. It's a compact edition. I believe that was the first trade as well, because it's the only 100 Bullets I've read, as I got the first trade from the library when I realized, like 10 years ago, that libraries carry trades. And I went and I got that on recommendation. And I believe that first trade was only 5 as well, so they're just throwing it in the compact format. Similar
format, the Preacher Gone to Texas Compact Comic Edition. I get why they're not doing it, but it's paining me they're not just calling these volume 1s, right? I get why they're not, but it's actually important if you want to read the series to know the order, and they're forcing people to actually check what the issues are to know what the order is. But hey. Batgirl Year 1, the deluxe edition, new printing for 2027. Oh god, we're doing 2027 stuff with the collections now. It's a great series, though. We did all this on Patreon. It holds up immensely. It's fantastic. So yeah, a deluxe is a delightful thing to have for that. Then we got Batman Resurrection of Ra's al Ghul, new printing. Which
It's my favorite Batman story ever.
That's so weird.
So,
no one else likes that this much. It's so weird. This is your favorite.
Because it's a swashbuckling Batman, and Morrison understood that and gave it to me. So, it's a good story.
Hey, whatever floats your boat.
Yep.
We got Dark Knight's Death Metal Compendium. So this is basically the omnibus, but in softcover format with all the tie-ins and whatnot.
Still a pain to read. Like, it's still too massive, especially with that paperback spine.
Oh yeah, it's just this is absolutely worse than the omnibus. I prefer an omnibus with a hardcover and sewn binding. A paperback this size is just going to crease the spine. I don't see the I genuinely do not see the point of a book this big in softcover. Aside from just the technically, I guess there's a value per comic compared to buying any other format. But that's about it.
But again, trying to read it until you get to the middle, that's the only part that it feels like it could sit and you can read. Other than that, you're holding like one side over the other, and it's just like you said, you're creasing the spine. It's just cumbersome, and it's almost like this is just for shelving. Like you want it sitting on your shelf looking nice, and you don't want to spend all the money for the hardcover. Yeah.
I mean, you need to like sit an omnibus on a table or on a stand of some kind to read it well, but it will hold open if it's got good binding, though. That's the benefit of it. Next up, Robin Tim Drake Compendium 2. So this is the Chuck Dixon run with Tim Drake. This is issues 6 through 30 of the solo Robin series, plus a bunch of things that happen to tie in around that time. Probably some No Man's Land stuff, actually. Looking at the timing of it. So we got that. Then we got Metamorpho Year 1, new printing for 2026. So, Dan Jurgens and Mike Norton on that one. And then we have Superman by Grant Morrison, book 1. So this is the New 52 Action Comics, which is basically just a double size. It's basically like a deluxe, which is the first two arcs together, but in softcover. So just another excuse to reprint this stuff, I guess. Yeah. And then that actually wraps up. That's the solicits done. Yeah. So what we had a one shot in there that we didn't know was there, and that was it. That was the whole number of surprises.
The Anarchy book.
Which I guess it makes sense. We had a con last month. They had a bunch of announcements there for those solicits. It makes sense that there's nothing really for November, and I wouldn't expect that much for December or January either, honestly. But hey, that's what it is. Hey, but hey, there's plenty of good books still coming out in November, and that's the important thing, I suppose. So, yeah. Absolute Flash, issue 18, Jeff Lemire with Nick Robles on the art. So, this issue does a little bit of a time split here, where we start with now, which is Wally and Linda having a conversation on the roof about what to do next. Wally thinking he should leave so he doesn't put everyone else in danger. And Linda's like, screw that. And also Ralph and Sue come out and are like, yeah, we heard all that. Screw that too. You're sticking with us. And then they kind of cock tease you a little bit by having Ralph start to melt as if it's doing like Plastic Man stuff or Elongated Man stuff, I should say. Yeah,
Elongated Man. But then like Sue like explodes. Like,
well, yeah, but it's also fleshy though. It's also like the same thing that's happening to Ralph, and then you look down the street and then like, oh, everyone's having like weird mutations and like falling apart. This isn't specific to them. And then we flash back to a week ago, and we basically get to see this absolute version of Bones at the DEO, who it's less of an actual skull, but it has kind of like it's almost like a birthmark on his face that is vaguely skull shaped.
Yeah, and he's missing his nose, so it makes the nose imprints. But yeah, he's very, very like yeah, you're saying birthmark, but I wonder what happened that has led to him.
There could be different reasons for why, but that's just what it looks like to me right now. Yeah. And it's weird to say it's more subtle than the regular version because there's nothing subtle about this man's face, but compared to an actual skull, it is more subtle.
Yes, an actual talking, moving skull that's chomping a cigar. This guy's got his vape, which I thought was very funny.
Yeah.
You know.
So we're introduced to Hunter Zolomon, who's working at the DEO, and he's in to speak to Bones. He's flirting with the receptionist first, though. He's a bit of a flashy guy. But Eleanor Thawne's in there, and he's not very happy that Thawne seems to know a lot about him, including the fact that he does have an ability. So Hunter Zolomon here can travel either forward or back 1 minute in time, and she believes that that's a unique ability that will help him fight Wally West because of what Wally's powers are. So I'm like, okay, this is interesting, and it's like a very different type of character for Hunter Zolomon. He's kind of this sleazy, hotshot, like, dude. And yeah, this is obviously all building up to what's happening in the present with the monsters, or the people turning into kind of monsters. And I guess I liked how this was kind of like loosely connecting to other things. Like at one point, Eleanor explains that Zolomon's been given like, or not Zolomon, but they start talking about who's doing this monster thing, and they tease that it's the old man. Like, and Zolomon's like, that old man, he's crazy. I put him away. Why would you get the old man out?
Yeah, you don't want to deal with that guy. Like, what are you doing? Put him back in there. He's in there for a reason.
And she mentions that he got an upgrade from a colleague, and you just see like demented Brainiac standing next to her. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm loving this idea of all the villains like working together, like behind the scenes. It really is quite menacing. But yeah. I will say, I'm so glad they put the title page of this at the end, because if they'd said abracadabra at the start, I'd have known instantly who the old man was. It was a nice surprise because they didn't give me a hint that it was a magic based thing, or well, I mean, the absolute abracadabra might actually be magic. We don't know, but obviously the regular version isn't really.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, abracadabra in the mainline Flash stuff is he's from the future, and he has tech that makes it appear like magic.
Yes.
To us, right? He's from like far, far in the future.
He's the man behind the curtain, right? He's the Wizard of Oz, basically. He's pretending to have magic, but it's not really magic.
This guy's just doing straight up body horror things, and is way more horrific in the way that the Absolute Universe has shown us, right? Like, again, Ralph Dibny melts like the elongated man. His wife explodes into this like creature from The Thing, from John Carpenter's The Thing.
That's why I say it was an effective misdirect, because I think it's obviously for that one panel you're thinking, elongated man stuff's happening, and then very quickly it's like, oh no, this has got nothing to do with that. This is a lot of other stuff going on.
And when they were talking about the old man, I started running through different DC villains, because we all know that the Absolute Universe is fine with mixing and matching. Oh yeah,
there was nothing to say this had to be a Flash character that was going to be the old man.
And so I'm like, who's the old man? Like, who? And then when at the end where Grodd's head goes missing and he pulls it out of the hat, like, I didn't even read what he was saying. I was like, oh, abracadabra. Here we go. We're doing the weird magic-y stuff.
Yeah, demented old man with the crazy hair, looking wild. I like that Linda and Grodd are kind of like becoming kind of like they're almost like guying up in Wally in like a positive way, where they're siding with each other to try and convince them to do stuff and to not give up and so on and so on. Like it
feels like an actual friend group. Right?
Well, that's the good character vibes that we've been enjoying in this book. That's been kind of like elevating it beyond what it was before. Although I think from a plot perspective, this is maybe the most I've enjoyed just the plot in an issue of this, because it feels like, I'm getting what it's doing. Wally does save this random person, this mother with her baby, in an alleyway, and he's like, because she's like, oh, who are you? And he's like, okay, fine, I'm the I'll use the name Linda gave me, I'm the Flash, because he doesn't have anything else. He's like, shit, okay, fine, I'm the Flash.
Yeah, so he can't say I'm Wally West, he's got to come up with something. I also like on as he's going, we got Robles back, and so we get the cool digital effect. Not digital, but you know what I mean. Like the
lines. It's not
doing the.
It's less lightning and more like these. I mean, there is lightning as well. To be fair, that's also there.
Interference.
But it's more like these sort of the red broken up lines that sort of indicate the speed. But then we also have on top of that how Robles is showing Zolomon's power, where he's kind of showing up in this kind of almost yellow, I won't say ghost per se, but he's like shaded yellow as if like, oh hey, this is like Solomon sort of jumping backwards and forwards through time, and he's like, hey, I keep looking into the future and you keep beating me, so I really need to win this. I need to make sure you can't get back up. And I'm like, oh, this is an interesting thing to have to overcome for Wally. It's like, how do you beat someone who keeps cheating by looking ahead and seeing how to like get around what you're about to do?
Right, and then jumping back to him to stop you from doing what you're going to do.
Yes.
Because he can move forward and back. And I also like the first time we see Solomon use his powers, it's very reminiscent of Wally's with those lines. It's just inverted, right? So it's yellow. There's much more distortion around Solomon. So I'm imagining this is what other people see Wally doing. You know, because usually we're getting it from just Wally's perspective. But yeah, so I like the way that goes. And then on that scene where he starts fighting Wally, just the way that the red lines and the yellow lines are intersecting at odd angles and stuff, it really adds this, like, not lack of a pun here, I'm not meaning to, but like a flash to everything, you know, like a razzle dazzle kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Cool.
And there's like two cliffhangers here. One being that Solomon wins the fight, he gets Wally down, and then Thawne tells him to kill Wally. And notably, Solomon all issue is clearly not. It's like there was no interest from him in this being an assassination thing. He thought it was just to bring him in, and so it feels like he's going to be tested here, and maybe he'll go against orders. That's maybe the temptation here. Linda and Grodd go looking for Wally because they're worried about him, so they're running through the chaos. And the cliffhanger with them, of course, is that they don't find Wally. What they find instead is the guy responsible for all the monsters is Abracadabra. And notably, all these little monsters are coming from under his cape, as if that's where all the bad mojo is coming from that's doing this to everyone. But he looks really demented. He's got like the sort of like the bald up top, but the long hair at the sides that's coming out, plus the glowing red eyes.
I believe that's called a skullet.
A skullet? Okay, I'll take your word for it.
No, that's called a skullet. That's what they described Hulk Hogan's hair at the end. You know, he had the long, stringy stuff around. Yep, and then the bald dome on top. So
yeah, well, this is longer. This is like crazier and like almost like it's puffed out a little bit. So
he kind of, and please, if this gets back to him, do not curse me or hex me.
Oh,
I have enough problems. He's vaguely reminiscent of Alan Moore a little bit.
Well, yeah, but Alan Moore's got a luscious full head of hair, last I checked.
Yes, but just the way that it's kind of wavy around, it was always that picture I would see of Alan Moore with the hair everywhere and then the beard, and you would just see the eyes almost poking out of the face. But yeah, there's just this mad scientist magician quality to him.
Hey, maybe for all we know, Lemire just handed Robles a picture of Alan Moore and said, "That's your inspiration. That's what I want for Abracadabra. Do it."
And it kind of went like the DEO conversation with Solomon, because I feel like Robles like, I'm not messing with that guy. Like, are you serious? I've heard stories about duels with Morrison where I'm not doing this. You know,
it's funny though.
But yeah, and I just looking at all this and having Abracadabra being like a Flash villain is real cool.
Yeah,
because again, could not figure out who the old man could be, so it was a nice surprise. But like introducing Solomon here and the idea of Zoom and like what that could be in the Absolute universe, as a longtime Flash fan, intrigues me, because like as anything goes in the Absolute universe, like what is that version of Zoom? Right? Because the whole idea of Zoom is this is a guy that got stuck in a time loop, couldn't save his family, right? And wanted to hold Flash to be of a higher standard, of Wally to being a better hero. And that was kind of his demented way of being a thorn in his side. So it's like, what's the absolute version of that? Because I feel like whatever happens here, right? Like you feel like he doesn't want to kill Wally. Does he become an ally and now we have this guy that shifts time back and forth, or do we have like Brainiac get a hold of him and it goes that way and that's where he starts going? Like, you know, like the possibilities are endless right now, and that's excited. Like, yeah, I mean, I'm happy to be where it's at,
because if he refuses to kill Wally, he could become an ally, or it could be the tragic thing where Thawne and Brainiac get a hold of him and like do stuff to him that turns him into the villain, where he just becomes like this new Reverse Flash, but in like a really kind of like, I don't know, like almost like zombie cyborg type way or something, where they've just completely brainwashed him or you know, lobotomized him or whatever it is. So there's lots of potential for that. And like I was saying, the title of this is Now You See Me, and that's what I was saying. Where if I'd seen that at the start, I'd have been thinking magic, and I maybe would have thought of Abracadabra as a result. So, you know, smart to put that there. And to be fair, they've always been at the end of these issues, but they knew they were going to be at the end, so they knew that they weren't spoiling anything by calling it that. So yeah, I mean, I think this was a really solid issue of Absolute Flash. I think I've been saying this for the last 3 or 4 issues, but I think the more it's went along and the more it's established the relationships, the more I've enjoyed it, because it's feeling like there's a sort of world that he's living in, that he's breathing. One of the biggest problems with the first arc or so was that he was kind of on his own the whole time. There was a lot of jumping backwards and forwards. And while this does jump backwards and forwards to the setting up of hiring Zolomon to go after Wally, it was a good introduction. It was nice and clean. It raised a lot of interesting questions about what we were doing. And it didn't feel like it was overly complex needlessly, right? Because once we came back to present day, that was it. We were just in present day for the rest of the issue, and it flowed really well. I read this super quick. It had a good cliffhanger, had 2 good cliffhangers even at that. So, yeah.
Well, and the stuff with Ralph and Sue too, when he shows up, it's like, hey man, we're not going to let you do this alone. It makes you feel like again, these are people that care for Wally, which then makes me care about Ralph and Sue. So when you see them, devolve into whatever Abracadabra does to them, you're just like, oh man, like Wally can't catch a break.
Well, this is the rub, though. Everyone's trying to convince him to not run away, like you're not a danger to us, and then this happens. He's going to think more than ever that he's a danger to everyone around him. So I don't see a good, happy result coming from that. Yeah.
So, but he does the little tricks like that where it makes you care and a little bit more. And
we've not even said this yet, but here's hoping that they can be put back to normal. Like what if, what if this is just them dead?
I do feel like what we've learned about Abracadabra was able to be contained, right? Because Zolomon was able to bring him in. So that means someone with speed kind of powers can, so.
That doesn't mean
that
doesn't mean they can reverse things that he's already done, though. That's a different thing entirely.
True. Oh man, what if it was, because we get a Simon Baz reference here, where Zolomon's like, no, I don't cover the East or the West Coast. I'm an East Coast guy for the DEO. You want Simon Baz? Like, what if it was Abracadabra that put that curse on him? Where he can't see his face. That would have been interesting.
I think
that has lasting effects.
Yeah, but I think he mentioned who put the curse on him. Did he not? Green Lantern?
I don't remember.
I feel like
book's so dense. He might have. And that information left my brain when I had to start trying to fit in all the Eins and Sirs and, but yeah. But I do like that they're making the DEO this what I'm looking for, like a cohesive thing, like it's binding the Absolute universe, because we're getting it popping up here in a Green Lantern, and then we have Brainiac, right? We have Hammond showing up in Absolute Green Arrow. So it's starting to feel like this more connected universe. But, and it's not through the obvious things, right? It's through these little tiny backdoor channels.
Yeah, but to be clear here, the DEO, they've shown up in 2 books, but like all the other characters you're talking about are all part of a league, right? That was what was set up in Absolute Evil. So they are all intermingling at the same level, whereas the DEO is like a step down. And they even mentioned that here, where Bones is like, hey, Thawne and her group are what give me my orders. So... so they're establishing a hierarchy as well, which I like. So it is interesting seeing these sort of like behind when I say behind the scenes, I just mean like it's not the heroes that are crossing over, it's the villains that keep crossing over, and that's an interesting difference to what usually happens. So very, very cool.
Because Linda and Wally are even talking about they talk about Diana in Gateway City. And that, Wally can be the big chick with the sword for Central. And I was like, I don't want to be a big chick with a sword. I want to be a regular person. So there's even that little reference here, which I think is cool.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. It's happening a little bit more as we get deeper into the stories.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no. But I just think that this book has come together more. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think it's as good as the main three absolute books. Still, right? I don't think it's, and I think it would take a lot to get it to that point. Honestly, I don't know if it ever will. But I do think it has improved, and I care more about it quite a bit compared to those first like 6 to 10 issues where it was, I was like, I wasn't like hating it or anything. There was definitely things to like enjoy or potential in it, but I feel like I'm more actively like into these last like 3 or 4 issues. I'm like, no, I'm actively looking forward to this now, as opposed to, I don't mind reading this. I actually want to read this now.
Yeah, I feel it's become very dependable. Where it's just going to be it's not going to be the best thing we've read all week, but it's going to be a nice, good read. And I'm going to leave it being like, oh, okay. I like what Lemire's doing here.
Yeah. So, and then Robles, of course, gets to do some different stuff here. He gets to do the monster stuff, which is a little bit different than normal. He gets to do the inventive stuff where we see how Zolomon's powers are working, at least from Wally's perspective, which is cool. But also the fact that Evie just gets to introduce Zolomon at all, and we get to see this Doctor or Mr. Bones, Doctor, but he's not Doctor. He didn't go to med school and get a doctorate.
No. Yeah, he doesn't even have a philosophical doctorate. Like he's Mr. Bones.
Yes.
Director Bones.
Technically, yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of memorable things in this issue visually. So I can't really fault the art in any way either. So. No, good time. I really have nothing too bad to say about it. What are you giving Absolute Flash, Matt?
Straight 8.
Yeah, I think I agree with a straight 8. I think it's inching up the way, and I think it's been kind of in the 8 territory for a few issues now, and only getting more confident at that level. So that's cool. Absolute Green Arrow, issue 4. Pornsak Pichetshote. Pichetshote, you know what? That's fine. That
is the best either of us have ever done. Yeah. So credit.
And then Rafael Albuquerque on the art, of course. And this is, for me, this was a bit of a mixed bag. This issue, I think the mad science stuff where Hammond's got oh god, I've forgotten who it was now. But remind me, who's the scientist?
Doctor. Hold on, I'm gonna look. In Dr. Eicher.
Oh, okay. I'm actually for a second there, I thought I was forgetting that it was like someone I knew that they introduced, but it's not. I've never heard of Dr. Eicher, so it's fine. I don't care that I forgot who he was.
They call him Hammond's Dr. Moreau, which would be,
maybe that's what I was thinking of. There was a lot of Dr. Moreau references, and like this is my island where I get to do my mad science. Right, not a literal island, just like a building, but Anyway, the point I'm getting at is that all the mad science stuff where they're trying to like regenerate flesh, which is why they've created Solemn Grundy, and all of the other attempts have failed, so there's all these dead bodies around and like weird misshapen, like foot's all bundled together and stuff like that.
Things with extra eyes and legs and all that stuff. Yeah.
Body horror up the wazoo. I was enjoying that stuff. I was enjoying Dinah having to sort of navigate around that. And I also enjoyed towards the end of the issue that the Green Arrow killer and her basically have to start working together because Hammond's like going full villain and they're trying to deal with him and they're having to survive with each other against Grundy, so they need each other's help. It was like, okay, these two people have been kind of on opposing sides, but they're starting to come together now for a common goal. But goddamn, the middle of this issue where it was like, hey, here's a convoluted flashback to like Oliver Queen's dealings with like potentially becoming into politics or something. And I'm like, I'll be honest, at this point I have lost the plot with what the backstory to Oliver Queen is in this book.
So it was moving at such a clip, and then Pichetshote hit the brakes, and not even just like stomp the brakes, hit the e-brake so we could have a discussion about politics in the US for a hot second. And I was just like, oh man, like I enjoy that being in a Green Arrow book.
I dispute.
I wish it was handled better.
I dispute the phrase hot second. A hot second would be a page. This was like 6 pages of this bullshit.
I was speaking facetiously.
Oh dear.
Yeah, and so like, and we all know, so Hammond's trying to pull the wool on Canary's eyes about like, oh well, no, he was one of us. Queen, might have been present facing, like he was this good guy, but he took the money and he was like this. But we all know that's not quite true from the flashback, right? Like if the flashback could be believed, that what he is talking about with Zeidel is more traditional Green Arrow things about, they talk about, yeah, he's stuck up for Jubal Slade, but when it was outed, the stuff that he was into, he tried to do all this good stuff, but his reputation was in the gutter now, right? There's nothing much that he could do.
Also,
anyways.
just to clarify, I checked. It's only 3 pages. However, it felt longer, but I think part of the reason why it felt longer because it's not just the flashback. I think all of the stuff where Hammond's talking about Oliver before and after.
Yeah.
Like when they're talking about the bad science stuff and they're talking about how evil Hammond is and she shoots the scientist in the leg and all that. Good. As soon as he starts talking about, oh, you don't even know what Oliver Queen was really like. The second that starts, this is ironic given that it's a Green Arrow book. But the second they start talking about Oliver Queen, it goes down the toilet for like 5 or 6 pages, and then it comes back around where, okay, things are happening again, and I'm enjoying the action and the spookiness of it.
It was just weird for it to be on that, and then for it to end with, Zeidel telling Oliver that you have to make change. He goes, oh, maybe I'll run for president.
No, mayor.
He goes, oh, maybe I'll run for mayor of Star City. And he goes, why stop there? Why don't you run for president, right? And then we know from, that the cabal of all the villains in the Absolute Universe put that hit out on Oliver Queen because Oliver Queen was actually trying to do good, right? So we know as readers that he wasn't one of them. So all the doubt that Hammond's trying to cast on Dinah, is him trying to save himself. So for them to put such an emphasis on those 3 pages of all of this exposition, really thwarting the pace of it. Because again, that's been this book where I can't believe this is only issue 4. I felt like I've read double the issues, right?
Yeah.
But then when he gets back to the monster stuff, when Canary and the the Longbow Killer, the Green Arrow Killer, start teaming up on Solomon Grundy, all that stuff is really good. I like all that.
Yeah, because Grundy, we thought he was down, but he gets back up because he regenerates, of course, and as soon as that happens, it's like, okay, things are back, and he sees like Oliver's dead body and a bunch of pieces, and it's like, oh, you experimented on him, blah, blah, blah. This is horrific. Grundy gets back up, he's got all these extra mouths, Hammond's like laughing like a madman, and that's when the Green Arrow Killer comes in with some arrows and helps try to put Grundy down. And yeah, like they're kind of working in unison, but the bit that's more notable is towards the end where, she's literally trying to help him out. Like she's holding him up, and like we have to get out of here. And Hammond's got his robotic hand, of course, because he lost a hand, which leads to the ending because Hammond does have some level of control over Grundy, and says, "Grundy, he took my hand. Take his." And so the final page is like this big red splash page of Grundy like swooping down, and there's just this one panel at the bottom with the hand on its own with the blood. So it seems like the Green Arrow Killer has lost his hand at the end of this, which is going to make it mighty difficult to fire a bow and arrow, I would expect.
Yep. So, unless we find out this has been a survivor of those experiments, and that's why, and we regenerate a hand of some kind.
That's a very, very specific scenario, which I agree could be a solution, but yeah.
Also, I got a very darkly funny laugh when how the Green Arrow Killer gets into this facility is they have the hand from Hector Hammond, and they throw that severed hand onto the scanner to give him access. And I was like, okay, that's good. That's a good bit.
Yeah, because we see that as a separate scene, and then Dinah sort of comes into that room and it says, "Welcome, Hector Hammond," or whatever, and that's how she realizes that Hammond's behind this place, and that then leads us to everything else. But yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting though about finding the identity of the Green Arrow Killer, because now we're just looking for whoever's missing a hand. Like, who's going to show up with a hand missing next issue, and she's going to be like, "Son of a bitch, it's you."
Yeah, and see, and I will say too, I was very invested in who the killer is, but as the story goes, I'm much more invested in Dinah. Kind of as the main character. So like, at this point, I'm fine with anybody that it reveals to be. I don't feel like it's hinging now on like the reveal.
No, but I think
So,
I'm more
I think that's
interested now that I know it's definitely not Oliver.
Yeah.
Right? I think the least interesting result of this would have been it's just somehow Oliver who's not dead.
Mm-hmm. Right. Like a zombified kind of. That's why he's wearing the mask, because of the regeneration. So seeing his dead body there, you're just like, oh, okay. However, we've seen what Grundy can do with the regeneration. So who's to say it's still not Oliver? It's just a different version.
It would be by far the least interesting thing they could do is just have it be Oliver. Also, Roy did get killed early in this issue, and we just glossed over that because we didn't care. But
it's Roy.
Yeah. And it's at
this point, like, I don't know who the killer could be based off the people that we've been introduced to. You know, unless it's that Zeidel character, because he was the one that was telling Oliver, what's capable.
But he was a bad guy, though. Like, he was clearly a bad guy the way he was talking about everything.
Mm-hmm. Right, but what if Oliver's death is what switched him? That's why he's taking on
I think you're
Oliver's identity.
I think you're grasping at straws here. Yeah. Unless there's a lot of story they've just not revealed to us yet, I think you're grasping at straws. Either it's someone... I think at this point, it's more likely to be someone who's not really been introduced in this book yet, but is someone we know from regular Green Arrow, right? It's going to turn out to be the absolute version of this character, whoever that may be. So, I don't know. Like, it's the absolute version of Felicity.
It's gonna be hard to type without that second hand, She was tech support.
That was just a joke example, but like you know what I mean. No, like the absolute version of
what you mean.
Some character. Hey,
someone there.
Have we heard of a Merlin yet? Is it an absolute Merlin?
Yeah, Merlin was the one that gave Dinah the job.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
It's Malcolm.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
Yep. Again, I've gone through my Arrow family playbook, and I don't know, who this could be. I'm starting to run out of them. So.
What if it's not a Green Arrow character? What if it's
right? That's
it could be absolute version of, I don't know. They would just pick a random corner. Let's go to Gotham. Who have we not had in Gotham yet? It's absolute Harper Row.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I'm just the point I'm making though is that it could literally be anyone.
It still could be anybody, but I just feel like the mystery of who this killer is, I felt was at the start seemed to be essential premises. But I want to give the writer credit that it has shifted with Dinah, right? And it's almost like I'm more interested in how Dinah pulls through all of this, and how it affects her than I do about, well, who the hell's killing all these billionaires,
I mean, that's fair, but I think I'm more interested in now that they're kind of working together and they've had to fight to survive together. So I get what you're saying. This is the most I've cared about the Green Arrow killer the entire book so far. So I think it's actually made me care a little bit more about him in some way. So we'll see. But I think the book's been a lot. It's just, it feels like every issue is just a little bit overstuffed or a little bit. The pacing has just always been a little bit off. I think that's been true of every single issue. I think something about the way Pornsak writes is just very kind of disjointed in places, even though some of the scenes and the ideas are very good on their own. And obviously having Albuquerque do the art only helps. And honestly, I can kind of see code. I can see why they picked Albuquerque, because obviously he does monster stuff very well. We just would never have predicted there was going to be a lot of monster stuff in this book, because it's Green Arrow.
Well, and I was just feeling because of the shadows, right? Because Albuquerque also does shadow stuff really well, and when we're dealing with this mass killer, right, that's what I was feeling. But hey, if he wants to keep drawing more monsters, I'm all for that, man. Because this guy had all these different things, in addition to Grundy, like the guy that they're talking to, that they're torturing, who was Oliver Queen's head of security that Oliver had fired. He puts a spider on him, and then when the guy looks down, he has sprouted a bunch of hands, like spider legs, coming out of his chest. And the way that
looks, but I think you're implying something that it didn't happen, right? He does have all those hands that are kind of like spider legs. It didn't happen in that moment, though. It's already happened, and it's more of just like here's the sheets coming off, and we're showing you what we've done to you, kind of thing. It's not like you just did it in that split second. just to be clear.
No. But yes, the spider is on his forehead. He goes, "Oh, that's interesting." And then they pull the thing back, and now this man has hands growing out of his torso. And Albuquerque kills it at that type of stuff.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that stuff all looks very, very good. It's very moody. And I was loving the atmosphere of everything. And I was loving how straightforward everything was, except for when we started talking about Oliver Queen's past and Hammond trying to say, oh, he wasn't that good. He was kind of one of us, you know. Here's a flashback, which kind of didn't show that very well. I mean, maybe the flashback's hinting that he does take them up on their offer, so he kind of aligned with them begrudgingly for a while, even though he obviously ended up being killed by them. But I don't know. It's so I don't know. I'm definitely mixed. I'm mixed. There's things I like. There's things I don't like. But we'll see. Monstrous Grundy with all the extra mouths and eyes is kind of neat, I suppose. So that's something. Like,
I'm looking at the panel right now where Grundy is laying face down on the ground, and there's that big massive mouth coming out of his back, and then he like inverts, right? So when he gets up, he doesn't stand up like he's, pushing himself off the ground. It's like he's forming a new body from this one in like almost in reverse. Like that's the only way I could describe it. But yeah, it's definitely icky, in the best way.
Yeah. So hey, what are you giving Absolute Green Arrow?
I'm gonna give this a straight 7.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think the stuff I like is good enough to get it there. I was kind of debating in my head between that and the 6.5, but I think I'll give it the 7. Art's really good, of course, as we pointed out. So cool. Superman Unlimited issue 16, Dan Slott writing with Rachel Stott on the art. So this is part 3 of Kingdom of Zod, which I was pretty negative on last week, pardon me. I thought it was a real mixed bag. There was a couple things to like, but I didn't really like how very quickly it just became a big fight. I felt like it was being far too simple for what could be a really cool, interesting, complex story of Zod sieging power of a city, or a country even, on Earth. And this issue didn't really do much to make me feel that much better. And again, it's not like there's not any individual scenes that I kind of like on their own, or like an individual idea that I kind of like. But I mean, obviously this starts off with the prologue, sort of like filling in some of the Zod backstory like the last couple did. But once we get into the main part, it starts off with basically just the fight that was teased at the end of the last issue with the two Superboys fighting Zod and them getting thrown across the city and whatnot. And Zod just very quickly just blasts his heat vision at their kryptonite defender gizmos, which what I thought was weird about this though is they start talking about to each other, hey, we've got these kryptonite blockers, which means we have an advantage over Zod. And all I could think was, but Zod's not shown a single sign of weakness like in any of these issues so far. So we even debated last week, we were saying, oh, is it like a slightly different strain of kryptonite that he's immune from or something, and he's done that intentionally. But after he takes out the two Superboys here, he's like, they are right though, I am vulnerable to all this kryptonite. I'm going to go hide whilst you, Eradicatrix, go deal with Superman. And I'm like, why haven't you felt anything since the start of last issue? This doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. Well, also, I got mad at Prime for flapping his gums, because if he didn't say that and just kept fighting, stay above the thing into the sun and charge your thing, you'd be able to give Zod a fight. But instead, I don't know. It wasn't very fulfilling for Zod just to zap those off of them.
Yeah.
I was just like, what are we doing?
It also felt like super generic and like not plot holy, but like the way Zod's like, hey, I sense the House of L. I sense more than one House of L member even, and one of them is definitely Kal-El. Eradicatrix, I'm going to go hide from this kryptonite. You go and deal with him. And also, those two Superboys, I've dealt with them. I threw them into the kryptonite mines. They'll soon be dead. And all I could think was, this is the classic trope of the villain just assuming that what he's done is going to kill the heroes when it's clearly he's leaving the chance for them to escape and live. No. Like, that's exactly what this is.
No, Mr. Bond. No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die type stuff.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, and I was just like, all the excitement I had for Zod has been killed through 3 issues. This is not an interesting Zod.
No, he's just cheesy. There's nothing interesting or complex about this version of Zod, which really sucks because like this exact setup of this city, him taking over, could have been so interesting. And then, of course, we have to do the whole thing where there's a line of dialogue here that really bugged me, because when we cut to Superman and he's with the others that he's came with, and they've all got kryptonite poisoning, and he's talking to Jean about it, and like, oh, I feel that I sense this is happening all over the world. He's like, yes, I sense that too. Young Superman says, first time I'm feeling it, boy, does it hurt. Is it just because that line really, like, surely the line should be, oh, this really hurts, or, you know, it's like, just as if, like, just
what is this? Yeah,
have him say how much it hurts, and, you know, implying that he's never felt this pain before. Having him say, first time I'm feeling it, boy, does it hurt. It makes it sound like he's been, like, prepped on what kryptonite is for a long time, and he knows exactly what it is. I don't know. It felt weird to me.
Right, but they were trying to keep all this stuff a secret from him.
Yes.
Right? So you would assume that no one had ever brought up that word. Like, he shouldn't even know what kryptonite is.
Yep.
As an idea. And this is a boy that you would have to think has never been sick, has really never been hurt. So him getting here and suddenly having this weakness and not being able to stand, he should be way more confused. And him putting together that it's this stuff.
Yeah, confused, terrified, you know, lots of feelings should be going through his head. So Superman's like, hey, young Superman, me, you gotta go. You're not ready for Zod. You have to leave. And it's like, okay. All right, I guess we brought him for whatever reason. I do like that they kind of tricked Eradicatrix by, like, Jean pretends to be Superman for a minute with Mary Marvel, and then she Shazams back into civilian form, and they're kind of just blending in with the crowd. And Jean, like, he's like having trouble focusing with the poisoning, so his, like, shape-shifting starts to sort of, like, fall apart, and he starts to turn green again. I'm like, I kind of like that. I like the vibe of that, and it lets Superman escape into the sewer where a couple of civilians are helping him, and they're doing that thing. I mean, because right before the start of the fight at the start, we did see a couple of humans or civilians in the city basically, like, you know, praying for Superman to show up. So they're doing that. I will say the art here by Rachel Stott, I can't say I love how she draws Superman's face, because when he's in that sewer system talking to these two civilians, I think they look fine. They look like just fine side characters, but Superman's face, something about it just feels weirdly skinny to me. I don't know. Just didn't feel right.
It looks like if you cast Adam Scott as Superman.
Yes. I gave him a fake beard. Yeah.
Like, he's just, to me, Superman has this big, thick-set, square face. Because he's a farm boy from Kansas. And so anytime they draw him skinny like this, it feels off. But I think that's just, again, artistic, whatever, you know, getting it through. Because Superboy looks the same. It's almost the same proportions, but he's a teenager.
I mean, at least, I mean, it's consistent in that sense. If that's Rachel Stott's Superman, it makes sense that her teenage version of Superman would have the same structure. So
looks like that.
Yeah, fair enough. The other big thing that happens in this issue, though, is that Superboy... Oh, this is confusing because there's other Superboys. All right, young Clark, I'll just say. Young Clark is flying through the city, and he sees Supergirl fighting some, regular robots or whatever, or soldiers on
the Krypton Knights.
Yes, on the roof. And he's like, whoa, a girl wearing the S emblem. Who is this? And I was like, okay, so we're doing the whole first meeting with Supergirl thing, which... Again, this is something we're going to have to erase from his memory so it doesn't devalue the fact that he meets her for the first time in the future, which annoys me just because I've complained about that ever since he's started traveling through time. But they do this weird thing where, right, I appreciate her being happy to see him. I appreciate that she's like, oh, finally, you're younger than me. I'm actually able to do what I was sent here to, which is protect my younger cousin. I appreciate that from her perspective. But this full-page spread... where they do this weird thing where all the different versions of Supergirl are behind Supergirl, and these different versions of Superboy. What?
None of them are Superboy. Right? That is Connor. That is John.
Well, that's what I mean. None of them
Who's the one on the top?
Well, the one on the top might be Clark, but yeah, like the
yeah.
But yeah, the one that's Connor was sticking out to me because basically what she says is, I can't explain it, but in every time we've met, in every reality, it's always been wrong, but not this time. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense from Supergirl's side, even if I don't like this idea of like I actually can sense that this is the first time they've met in a way that she was supposed to. I do think it's a weird visual to do. It's just an excuse to draw the old outfits, to be honest, more than anything else. But from his side,
and then none of those
from his side though, it doesn't make any sense because these other versions behind them, at least two of them, aren't actually Clark. So what are you talking about? Because it would make maybe some sense if there was a version of Supergirl that met John first or met Connor first, but that never really happened. It's always been Clark.
No.
So I don't get this page. I don't get the point of this page.
Well, no, and then the Supergirls are not all Kara, right? The one in white, that's Sorel. That's a different version of Supergirl.
Oh, fair point. But she has had a white outfit before, though, right? Like that's why I didn't really assume.
Yeah, but the black headband.
Sure,
right?
sure.
That is post, stuff that we're reading right now in Peter David's run.
Okay.
And I don't want to spoil that for people. But then that other Supergirl also is the Peter David version, which was a clone that had powers, right? That was post-crisis. So none of those are even Kara either, in the way that none of those are young Clark. So it's like, what do you mean we've met in every other universe? These characters should not know each other.
I guess like the Connor and the clone one from the Peter David era make some sense because they were both around at the same time. But I'm curious though, what tells you about that it's the Peter David version of Supergirl? Well, what's the giveaway?
For me, it's the haircut, because the haircut's a little bit shorter, right? It's the one directly. It's the one that's opposite Connor.
Okay. I feel like that's a little bit nebulous though, because that could just be an art choice more than anything else.
I mean, it could be, but this is how I was taking it, that these are different Superboys. So, and then having the white t-shirt one, who was clearly it was a completely different Kryptonian.
Because the one
it's a Kryptonian that takes, the Supergirl moniker. After that, the
one at the top is definitely Kara though, because that's the one from the early 80s series, I think it was.
Yes. Yeah, post or pre-crisis.
Yeah, pre-crisis.
Supergirl.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, and looking at all those, and it's just like, and then that's John Kent. That is his costume, directly across from the white one. So yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
This is a mess of a page.
Like, John Kent has nothing to do with that era of Supergirl.
No, not at all. So, but yeah, I understand what they were going for. I just don't think they executed it well at all. Well, because even just having an idea of Supergirl and Superboy on there and how it was supposed to go with her being his protector. I don't need the here where we've met in different timelines type stuff.
Yeah, I think I actually disagree with it's the execution. To me, it's not even the execution that's the problem. It's that conceptually this doesn't make any sense to me. If this was like 4 versions of Clark from different eras of Superman and then like all the different versions of Kara, I think it would make sense, right? So you wouldn't include Peter David's Supergirl. You wouldn't include any alternate version of Supergirl that's not... But the one that's pre-crisis is absolutely a different version of Kara, right? Just like the one that came back in like 2005, 2006 is the reboot of that version of Kara. It's Kara Zor-El.
Right.
That would make sense to me. This as it is, I just don't get it. I don't get this idea. Because it's like, Connor has nothing to do with Clark. In the sense that this is not like another version of, I don't know, it's weird. I don't get it. It like I said, it's just an excuse to draw these different outfits. That's all it is. Like, I appreciate the idea of her wanting to protect baby Clark, and this is the first time she gets to be older and actually do that job, so she gives him...
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah, she gives him her kryptonite, like, thing, right, which is still getting charged because she's up high in the sky in the sunlight and all that. And then he, like, you can't help but just hug her in the moment, and he tries to like lie and say, "Oh, I'm just sharing the kryptonite shielding," and she's like, "Yeah, of course you are." So it's that part's a sweet moment. That part is actually kind of adorable.
Yeah, and the realization he is not the only survivor, right? This is like a thing where up to this he's like what 15, let's say, in this Action Comics run, he thinks he's it. That's it. There's Krypton is gone. It is him.
Yes,
he doesn't know anything else.
Although.
So
with the asterisks on all this, that I still don't like that he's learning all this. He has to forget it all, or it's, you know. But
in the moment, him being like, "I'm not alone," like, that's a nice moment. And then the hug, and he goes, "I'm just sharing the shielding." She's like, "Yeah, sure you are." I do like that. That is a nice human moment.
Yeah,
you know, for them to share in this otherwise thing that is driving me insane.
Yeah, just a weird conceptually from the get go. I don't like what they did with that page. And then, we see the president of El Cordero still got that weird Zod kryptonite mask on in a cell. All the other Supergirl friends are all thrown into cells down there. So they're the worst for the wear. Justice League are running around. Flash is like trying to evacuate people in certain, in Central City to get them away from the kryptonite. Tomorrow Man is flying with the Steels and Lana, but he ducks out to go help with El Cordero. So that's the thing.
Yeah, because of Lois, right? Because Zod has his mom.
Yeah.
So he's gotta get there and help out.
Yeah. So the whole thing towards the end is that Clark comes out of the sewer and he's in the sort of the Green Fortress, but because it is a fortress and there's like the computer's got the Jor-El hologram in there. It's like, hey, do you need a Kryptonian battle suit to protect you from the kryptonite or some such? And he's like, thanks, Dad. so he gets some armor. Really weird. But also at the same time, like, Zod shows up in like a suit, but I didn't even realize it was Zod until Lois actually said who it was, because like it's this pink and yellow outfit, and I'm like, what is this?
Also, her telling her grown adult son that daddy's home was a weird choice.
Oh yeah, I hated that line. What the hell are you doing? Daddy's home. That doesn't make any sense.
Just be like, hey, your dad's here. He wants to see you. Something along those lines. But daddy's home is so weird.
It felt really, it felt so out of character for her to say it that way. That nothing made sense about her saying it that way. Like, if he was 6, maybe it would have made sense.
Yes. Wait, but he's a grown adult. Like, you don't... Also, the only reason I kind of knew that was Zod was that was a suit that he was wearing before he turns on the president.
Really? Okay, I didn't remember that.
That's the leader of the Krypton Knights. But yeah, it's not very clear until he says, Kal-El, you're always playing the hero.
No, Lois says it before that.
So,
Lois says that it's Zod before that. Because that's where I figured it out. It was when she called him Zod, ? The thing for me...
Yeah. Zod, like, not what I was expecting.
The only other way the daddy's home line could have worked is if she was saying it to Zod, right? Because it would be demeaning. It would be like, daddy's home, like she's rubbing it in, but she's saying it to John, so it makes no goddamn sense. Anyway, so
and then he lies to John and says that he likes the new costume.
Yeah, but John also lies to him.
Likes that new costume.
Yeah, but John also says to him, back at you, and I'm like, you're also lying because this suit is ugly as shit.
Yes.
What this giant purple armor suit? Do you know what it looks like? It's vaguely the shape of the aliens from The Fifth Element. I don't know if anyone remembers them off the top of their head, but the big arch, sort of semicircle, like shoulder line. I don't know.
It looks like a Hulkbuster without being cool.
Yes. And
like there's no neck on it. It has just shoulders, and then like the regular battlesuit proportions, but just the way that Clark's looking out through a window, almost like he's in a chamber for it, and it's just like it's
shit. It's terrible, and it's almost like this issue started with all the bad stuff I didn't like, it gave me a couple of interesting things in the middle, and then the ending with these battle suits and the daddy's home line plummeted me into oblivion again, where I'm like, oh, you know what? We're about halfway through or so, or almost through this crossover, and it feels like, okay, now we're just hate reading it at this point. Like, I don't even think I'm excited for any more of this now.
I read through this and I was like, well, this killed all my excitement for this. I can't wait to get back to regular Williamson Superman. You know, like,
well, I was thinking,
at least that
I was thinking regular Dan Slott Superman Unlimited, not Williamson Superman, but sure, whatever.
Yes. Well, but that's how, because I've been more positive with the Williamson, but it has these wild swings of up and downness, but at least I'm mostly enjoying it. And this is just like, I'm constantly reading going, what the hell? And then I feel like the only reason they covered Zod's face with that suit was because if you had Zod with his regular face out, you would confuse him with Superman because they both have the beard. You know,
and because you can't see the regular Superman outfit, it wouldn't be as obvious. Yeah. I could see it. They put him in that costume, and it's just like, man, it's whatever. But yeah, this is. Here's a. I mean, obviously they're very different sizes, right? The Superman armor is like this big hulky, like you say, Hulkbuster style suit. But why did they make them both purple and yellow?
Why is the Kryptonian battle armor purple? Why did it go with that color?
I mean, it could be any color. There's no reason why it has to be anything in particular. It's just really weird that they decide that both his and Zod's suit were both the same color scheme.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, something to do with El Caldero? I don't know. Like, why? Also, how's the Sunstone that made this Kryptonian castle? It just has the battle suits in there?
Well, I think that's just like fortress logic in general, though, right? Is that the fortress has Krypton technology, and I guess that's maybe the justification for the same type of colors and stuff. Is that Zod maybe got this suit from the fortress? But I feel like Zod was going around in this suit being the head of the Knights before this fortress was created with a stone. I'm sure it was.
No, he was, because they're teasing out by the time he lands with the meteorite that he sends to Earth for whatever reason, because he had to reform. That was what the little origin piece at the beginning is that after the war he essentially had to reform, kind of like Superman did after he fought Doomsday, right? And the Kryptonian chamber thing puts him back together, and now you would assume that like he just appears and takes on this armor from Caldero scientists or whatever, because they're rich because of the kryptonite.
But yeah, this was shit.
Just a big shoulder shrug.
It was like, again, Supergirl reaction to young Clark was adorable. Unfortunately, it was ruined by just this like forced like nostalgia page that didn't make much sense. And then there's just lots of crap at the start and the end that I really did not like. And then even when it's like Superboy Prime calling Zod Terran Stamp, like that's almost funny, but like I'm just like I'm not in the mood for it.
It's too far. Too cute by half.
Oh dear. All right. What are you rating Superman Unlimited?
Do I do it to 5 or bump it up? No, I'm going straight 5. It is very, very middling. Very, for me, a 5's way bad.
Sure.
So yeah, I'm
going 4. I think it's bad.
Yeah.
I think it's bad, and it's annoyingly like it doesn't even. This is the thing. As much as Slott's the one credited with writing this, and I'm not trying to like defend Slott here by any stretch. Like maybe he is just the one who's responsible for all the weird things in this issue and the dialogue I don't like. But it doesn't feel like an issue of Slott's, right? It doesn't feel like a regular Superman Unlimited issue. It feels like whether he actually penned every line of dialogue in this issue, or it was kind of a committee thing and they're all just getting credits for their own issues or what, it didn't feel like an issue of Superman Unlimited by any means.
Because even that stuff that was happening with the Superboy and Tomorrow Man stuff, right, where it ended up being Superboy from Earth 3, Ultra Boy, it still felt like Slott's writing from what we had gotten.
It did, yeah.
From
absolutely.
Up to the point. Even if we didn't enjoy certain things in it. This, no, it definitely felt like by committee. And like, yeah, maybe he had one or two lines here. Maybe the daddy's home was supposed to land differently. And I feel like Slott could have done it. But yeah, it's just off, man. This whole crossover just feels off. And that's the only thing I can describe it as.
Yeah, we still have several issues of it to go. We got like over a month left of issues of it, but
yep,
that feels more like a threat now, more than anything else. So I hope Bad Seeds is good, because if Bad Seeds ends up being like this,
yes.
it'll be a really rough September if both crossovers suck.
You know, that said, though, you're not reading Ivy, but all the stuff that's crossing over, we're enjoying more than I think we're enjoying the Superman stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
For those. Yeah. So, so going in, we're going in with a bit more steam. And then seeing the preview.
Sure, I intentionally didn't really look at the preview. Yeah. I know it's there at the back of all the issues this week, but I wasn't really looking. But yes. I think what I will say, though, about the Batman crossover coming up is that the back corner feels a lot more coherent and connected before the crossover. It feels like, Gotham, what's going on, has been led by Fraction, but it's been felt in all the other books. It feels a lot more like a unified vision already, even before we get to the crossover.
Yep.
I don't think the super books felt like that at all, and then all of a sudden they're all crossing over, so that may also be an issue here as well. So
yeah.
All right, well,
for sure.
There you go, Superman Unlimited. Wonder Woman issue 36, legacy number 836. Stephanie Williams writing with Clayton Henry on the art. So this is the next part of the little fill-in arc, which I opted out of. But Matt, you did read this, so by all means, take it away.
Yeah. So this is the back half of the trials for Diana, where Steve Trevor coming to Paradise Island, Themyscira. One of the Amazons has to take him back. So they do these trials, and Diana enters behind a mask because she doesn't want that to weigh in on the decision, right? And it's Steve telling Lizzie, Lizzie, right? Libby? No, Lizzie.
Lizzie. Yeah, Lizzie.
I had a brain fart there for a hot second. Lizzie about this and what he had seen, and from his perspective, the things that were going on with the Amazon trials. And here, we see Diana, how well she does. And it's almost in spite of her mother. And like Diana's best friend from childhood, who's an Amazon named, where is it? Mala. She's in there, and she kind of looks like Cassie Wonder Girl. She has the blonde, she has the red top, to go with it. So I feel like that was a conscious effort to make her look like one of the Wonder Girls. Kind of knew from the jump that she was going up against Diana, but still let her compete fully. So the first trial is with the bow and arrow, and they have to shoot it through the moving targets. Diana kills it. Then there's the second trial, which is of endurance, which is like a long distance race that has all these obstacles. And the biggest obstacle are the Kingas, right? At the end, they have to essentially mount and ride. But along the way, as all these Amazon warriors are going through this, Diana's the only one that is stopping and assisting the other ones. So she's on this big pillar over this pit, and one of the Amazons falls and slips, and Diana stops and helps her back up before she ends up finding Jumpa, her Kinga, in this group. And because she had spent so much time with the Kingas on the island, there was that connection there. So she's able to get on this thing and ride it and make up the time that she had lost by helping the others. And then it ends up in trial by combat, which is where it gets interesting, because it ties back into King stuff, where one of the warriors she has to fight is Emily, who is the Amazon that started off all of the Sovereign stuff. She's the one that tore up the bar in Montana. She is the one lady's, I'm drawing a blank on her, from the future, her mom, or the matriarch. And yeah, so it shows that Diana bested her in combat for this, trial. And Steve even mentions, Diana told me later that Emily was one of the warriors she most respected, and she had watched her train since she was a child. So it's setting up that Emily's not just a regular Amazon, right? Whatever led to her going off the island and teaming up with the Sovereign seems to be a big plot point to go forward, because I don't think they would just drop it in on here, you know, for Stephanie Williams just to play with on her own. But yeah, so we see her fighting through combat, and you know, Emily begrudgingly respects her because she has to. And then we get to the biggest trial where Steve realizes this is what set Diana apart from all the rest of them. Like, yeah, she was a skilled warrior, but it was the trial of wisdom where essentially they ask if in a village in man's world suffers under a tyrant, and the tyrant's army outnumbers any force that they could send. The tyrant himself is a single man who could be ended in a single night. What is the just answer in dealing with them, right? And this is just essentially how she dealt with Mouse Man and the Sovereign. And all the other Amazons like, oh no, you kill him, or no, you arm his people and have them and assist them in overthrowing them. But Diana's like, no, there's no simple answer. Is if you arm the people that have been raised under a tyrant, all they know is tyranny, right? If you just kill him, someone will rise up. So basically what you have to do is you have to help them get better. You overthrow the tyrant, and then you stay with them and teach them the stuff that the tyrant did not. And you allow them to become who they need to be. And that's where Hippolyta, who already knew Diana was in it, that's how she knew this was Diana. And Steve said that was also enough to make him pay attention, right? To make him sit up. And it finally comes down after that trial to the bullets and the bracelets, which again, I don't know why this needed to be a trial besides the fact that it's like the one thing that you know, associate with Wonder Woman. But it comes down to her and Mala, her best friend from childhood. And they're firing arrows at them and hoping that the bracers stop them, right? And these bracers are representative of their enslavement under Hercules, you know, and they wear them as a reminder that they won't be bound again, right? But that's also cool because they can dodge projectiles with them and they're useful. But yeah, Mala misses one of them, and Diana blocks it with her own bracer, which she goes out of her way to help her competitor, right? And the other one strikes her in the shoulder, and she yields, leaving Diana the only winner. Hippolyta comes down, Diana unmasked, the crowd is shocked, because, I mean, who else could it be, right? And it's like, you know, you did what I told you not to do, but you still won fair and square. But, you know, she goes, I kind of realized when Jumpa bowed to you and allowed you access, you know, really easily, but I let you continue because I am your mother and I want what's best. And yeah, takes her and gives her the lasso and her bracers and the costume that she wore when she went up to Man's World, you know, for World War II and teamed up with the Justice Society, and explains what they all mean, you know, and like how the tiara is not a crown, it is just a reminder of where you come from. And that the lasso is the lasso of Hestia, and it can bound anybody to truth, you know, God or mortal. And yeah, and that, you know, this is that she's been chosen. And then Steve's like, yeah, and then we got on an invisible jet, which really confused me. Because as a pilot, you know, why did they have the invisible jet? So they play with a little bit of fun there. And yeah, she notices that Diana, you know, had she not kept looking and had she looked back at the island, they wouldn't have left. So she kept her eyes forward as the plane lifted off. And there's this really fun 2-page spread of her with the Justice League and saving people, and, you know, her with Lizzie as the clay baby before she brings her to life. And then also at you know, her at the hands of the Sovereign when she was bound. And it's like, yeah, the greatness of your mom was that there, you know, she always felt there was so much to do, right? She couldn't be still. That, yes, she brought me back, but now she had to show the world what the Amazons are about. And yeah, so it ends with that, you know, she realized that Lizzie is not Diana, right? Diana would not want Lizzie to just be a copy of her, just as Hippolyta wouldn't have wanted Diana to be a copy of her. But that's where they're similar in that she's the, she says she's Diana's daughter. She's the best of the women I loved, and whatever good was in me, walking forward on her whole 2 feet. And there's so much to do, and that's where it ends. And so, for a little 2-issue, Stephanie Williams version of Diana's origin with the trials to bring Steve back to man's world, it seems like, yeah, you could skip it. But what it does in building Diana in Steve's eyes to Lizzie, to the things that she has gone through, like, it is her upbringing that has made Diana uniquely qualified to deal with everything that's been going on in the Tom King, part of the story, and it was those tests did prepare her for what she's going to do. And then to throw Emily in that, the Amazon who we know next to nothing about, but she was one of the warriors that was chosen for the, the volunteers to fight. And it's almost like, well, was she bitter about that? That, she wasn't one of the ones chosen, to go out to man's world. And that's why she ends up selling out to the Sovereign and having the matriarch and all that stuff. So pretty solid. And the art by it is Clayton Henry is still, again, this might be some of the best stuff that I've seen Clayton Henry do. Like all of the stuff in the trials to something like the Kangas, which is just a very weird, silly concept. Having them race through these tunnels, as part of the trials, it just makes them work and you don't think, because the way that he draws them, they're just like, they're these majestic beasts that just happen to live on Paradise Island. Yeah, and then all the stuff that jumps back with, on the river with the boatmen, all of that stuff has this like mythic quality to it, because there's like the way that he's playing with the light coming off the water, and Steve looking forlornly off into the distance. It just really is the best work Clayton Henry's done. But yeah, really, really solid 2 issues. I think this one's a little bit better than the last one, because the last one just felt like we were rehashing the stuff from Diana that we've gotten a million times, whereas this out of the context of what we've been reading. So I'm going to give this a straight 8.
Okay, cool. Nightwing 141, legacy number 328. Dan Waters writing with Dennis Cowan on the art. So, this is kind of the payoff to this whole, like, Nightwing show up at court for your court date and we'll decide if you're guilty of causing that car crash, that pile-up that led to several people's deaths. And this issue is very focused. It starts off outside the courthouse. The prosecutor's doing a speech to the press, talking about what the charges are and all that, and Dick's in the crowd and he's civvies listening to all this. And the first half of this issue is kind of an interesting little focused just exploration of how the city views Nightwing. And it's not all like positive, or technically it's positive, but it's not all positive in a good way. Because the first guy who overhears talking about him is like, oh, Nightwing was beating this cop up, and which happened last issue, and he was being brutal. And I'm like, finally, he's learned that he needs to do this to like make change. And he talks about how years ago he saw Nightwing, and we get this flashback as the guy's talking to Nightwing in the disco Nightwing outfit from before the current.
Yeah, the almost it does. Yeah, it doesn't have the high collar, but it's the same vibe. It's like, it's definitely the when Batman got his back broken era, like that mid-90s, the big gold Nightwing logo. He's got the long like mullet kind of.
Yeah,
so you can't tell here with the art because Cowan does the hair length. Like, it's definitely long in the back. I don't know if it's business in the front and party in the back, but
yeah, but that was just par for the course at the time. But he's he was beating up this drug dealer who was selling drugs to kids on a roof, and he was very angry. It felt very aggressive, and also of the early 90s. But this guy who's telling the story is like, oh, I saw him drop him off the roof and I was so delighted, but I got disappointed because at the last second Nightwing they grappled his legs, so he saved him and thought he'd scared him straight. But that's not how Bloodhaven works. You have to do more than that, and finally he's doing the right thing. And it just goes to this panel of Nightwing just like rubbing his his eyes, and it's just a perfect reaction to it.
Yep, this guy sucks. I also love that in there it's you got to think this is this guy's retelling of what Nightwing was saying to the drug dealer, because it's very Frank Miller Batman more than it's anything from Nightwing, because he's telling the drug dealers, like, look, I can throw you head first and it'll be over quick, right? Your body won't even know what has happened to your brain. It'll be like shutting off a switch. Or I can throw you feet first and it'll pulverize all the bones in your legs and you'll slowly bleed out. It'll be very aware of when you go. And it's like, I don't know if Dick's ever been this brutal, like even in the mid 90s, you know? So when we get to that page of him squeezing his face, like his eyes over his brow, just like this guy.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, no, I mean,
it was very, very welcomed.
It's a funny little moment, which is kind of interesting that they slipped that in, because it's otherwise a very serious issue. And then obviously we get what's her face, Manhunter, Kate Spencer, showing up to basically say, hey, you shouldn't go in there, you should not go forward, but if you do, I'm the Justice League lawyer. I'm here to represent you, but I would really advise that you don't, because if you start getting tried for vigilante acts, that opens a bit of a can of worms for the entire Justice League and all the superheroes around the world, so let's not do that. And that leads into another character who sort of steps forward and tells this story, this young woman who talks about how when she lost her dad in the hospital some time ago, she went up to the roof. Her dad was the only person she really had in her life, and she was thinking about jumping off. And Nightwing just like saw her and just stopped on the roof, talked to her, asked if she was okay, made small talk, sat with her, went and got her a drink, and stayed out there with her all night till sunrise to make sure that she wasn't jumping and that she was okay. And it was this act of kindness that made her feel seen. And obviously it's a much nicer story, a much sweeter story than what the guy was telling from before. But I do really appreciate that Kate, hears this as well. They're both listening to it. And she's like, do you even remember doing that? And he's like, yeah. Like, but if they're putting too much faith in me. So he's doubting himself, but I do like the question, do you remember that? And him saying, sure, of course I do. So. Yeah.
Well, and again, the way that Cowan draws her up on the ledge, it reminded me of that famous panel that makes its way around from All-Star Superman.
Sure.
Of the lady that's getting ready to jump. And then, Superman comes up and just offers to listen to her. And, so again, this feels like it's paying homage to that, which I also like.
There's a nice symmetry as well of both stories being on a roof and someone, being threatened or threatening to jump or be tossed off. Like there's kind of like, it's almost like two sides of the same coin in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. I also loved the prosecutor when she's saying, "Oh, Nightwing claims there was a witch." I love the air quotes. I love that he drew her with doing the air quotes. It's such a perfect touch.
Cowan.
Yeah.
Like I've always liked Cowan's art, but here it's the subtle things. Because when I think of Cowan's art, I'm thinking of the really heavy inks and like the actiony stuff, like with the question. But here, everything is very still, and it looks really good. Just like the way that the prosecutor looks at the watch, right at the top of that page, and just the way that it's paced out. And then, like you said, the air quotes. It's all these little things that are going into the art that Cowan is doing so well.
Yeah, can I just say, I read this right after I read Superman Unlimited, and the whiplash of quality of like this just being so well paced and everything feeling like it was building to like, is he going to do it or not, was so riveting. Yeah. And just the polar opposite of just the crossover slop that other book was.
Absolutely. Well, that's why I started my week with that Superman crossover, because it could only go up. Right? Because after the last two, I had a feeling.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I'm glad you're okay after that whiplash, because it could have done some damage.
It could have hurt. Yeah, I could have been bleeding out on the side of the pavement like this drug dealer that was getting tossed off. So Nightwing reaches for his mask out of his pocket. I'm like, I was actually wondering, wait, is he just going to walk up in his civvies but with just the mask on? Because that's going to look kind of weird. But as he's reaching for it, though, someone steps forward, a woman, and says, "There was someone else in the car. I'm coming forward as a witness. It was me." Nightwing's first guess that I was someone who was mentally unstable and claiming to be a witch is correct. It was me all along. And obviously the art here is very interesting because it shows you sort of Dick like looking shocked, but then sort of like standing behind her as she's saying all this stuff. And it's basically just this perfect get out of jail free card where she's like, basically, confessing to a crime, puts out her hands to be handcuffed, and says Nightwing is innocent. And like Kate's standing next to Nightwing with the eyes like, this is a godsend. This is a win.
Yep. Also, when the witch steps forward, on the top of that panel, you see the freeway. So it's like a constant reminder.
Nice touch. Yeah, it's towering over them. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, and the prosecutor's like, well, this is if you're confessing, you'll be arrested, and she gets arrested. Miranda rights, all that, and Kate's like, hey, Mr. Grayson, this is the best we could have asked for, right? This is all good. Why aren't you smiling at this? And Dick's like, wait a minute. There's like one person who's not watching. There's one person who is walking the other way. There's something fishy about this. And I appreciated he immediately was acting this way, because I also felt there's something fishy about this. This felt too easy. So I'm glad that he immediately said, this is too easy. Something's afoot.
Yeah. Something's not right here. Like, I could feel it in my bones. I don't know what it is, right? But this is, Because, and again, us reading this, there has been this vibe of the things that seem supernatural are kind of mundane, even by superhero standards, right? Like, the thing that they thought was that creature was an alien, right? But it was, it got lost and befuddled and all that other stuff. And it just seemed like all that supernatural stuff but I was like, yeah, but not like this. Like, this is, again, way too easy. So what's afoot? And then where we go to it again.
Yeah.
Dan Watters is so good at this.
Yeah, Nightwing just runs off to like follow this. What turns out to be a guy. I actually didn't realize it was a guy until we got into the house and saw his face better, because he has long hair, so it looked more like a woman for a while.
Yes. On that panel though, where Nightwing's running across the roof, and the guy with red hair or reddish hair is on the top right panel. It looked like almost an 80s hair metal guy, right?
Sure,
with the way that the hair is drawn. And so that's what I was like, okay, it could be a lady, but maybe it's a guy.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. It doesn't really matter, right? Like the fact that this person is obviously of interest because clearly they know something about what's going on is that's true regardless. So it doesn't really matter. And obviously, once you get there, it turns out once Nightwing busts in, disarms him because he pulls out a gun. Nightwing finds like hair dye and stuff in the bathroom, and he's like, "Look, you think I wouldn't like recognize that it was a different woman? I know that's not the witch. What's going on here?" And basically, it's like someone has come to them and paid her to pretend to be the witch to get Nightwing away with this. And they're basically being paid out. They've got a lot of debt, right? They're drowning in debt. They've got like a kid, and she agreed to do this to get paid for it, and he's not happy about it, but she did. And all this is basically building to the mayor, right? Which we knew this was all building to. Like, we knew this was all the mayor wanted to build this highway. He wanted to do all this manipulation of the city to make it worse, and all the rest of it. But yeah, because that's the thing, like when Nightwing's like questioning, like, was there any indication of who this was? The guy's like, oh, I know exactly who it was. They weren't like keeping it a secret. Like, they were quite, quick to tell me it's Mayor Bissoni. Like, it's him. So,
and he wants to give you a message.
Yeah.
And that message is like, he looks forward to Mayor Bissoni looks forward to continuing your fruitful relationship, protecting Bloodhaven together. He couldn't have done this without you. And you're just like, what? Which
leads to this page where like we see kind of like the idea of the witch trials and being wrongly accused, and it's intercut with panels of Dick having a panic attack because he realized that like he's kind of not under this guy's thumb, but he's being played in such a way where he's put him in this corner. And it's like a slightly different threat than what we usually get. And of course, we also get the other reveal here towards the end, as Dick is having a panic attack that he's fighting off, is that the actual witch has been found by the mayor. The mayor has the witch. And he's talking like, oh, he's in charge, and I brought you here, and all that. But it does kind of feel like the little smirk in her face at the end is like, oh, I don't know if the mayor is prepared and or like has as much control here as he thinks he does. It feels like she might do something here to shake things up.
I've seen enough horror movies where witches are at the center to know that mayor is boned. Like it might not be in the next couple issues, but she ain't gonna forget. Because she even tells him at the top of that page that, you know, all of you are the same, you men of Bloodhaven, and you thought you can contain me. And just the way that he talks down to her, and he's like, I can't have you out terrorizing my city, terrorizing its hero. You know, I was just like, oh, this is the first time we've really gotten the mayor, and he's already proven to be like this. You're like, oh man, what a piece. Like, this guy sucks. I can't wait for Nightwing to get the better of him.
It's so effective because this entire arc has been all these supernatural things, but it started, like the end of the last arc, teased that the mayor was going to be behind what we're doing, and we've obviously mentioned him in like building all this new stuff in the city, the highway and all that. But like, it's not focused on him. Like, we have been so much more focused on the effect of what this highway has caused in Bloodhaven and all these things that have spread to this. And this idea that the witch predicted correctly that Nightwing would feel, I mean, she didn't say you're going to have a panic attack, but she said, oh, you're going to feel things tighten, you're going to feel trapped and in a corner, you're going to feel all this blah blah. I was like, oh, this is all coming together beautifully. And I loved at the end of this arc is like not the showdown with the mayor. It's kind of the same as what he did with the Zani, which is the Zani wasn't one arc. It was like split into 3 arcs where it built to the Zani being the big showdown in the 3rd arc. And it kind of feels like we're doing something similar here with the mayor, where maybe it's not 3 arcs, maybe it's just 2. But this is kind of the end of the 1st arc, and then the arc where we're going to actually do all the mayor stuff now that we've been building to is now what we're about to go into, that we've properly set him up.
Which makes sense, because everything that I've read from Waters he uses that formula. You know, it was just like in I'm drawing a blank on the name of the book that I love so much, because it's been a long week. But the Batman book.
Oh, you mean Dark Patterns? Which,
yes,
like,
it came to me.
It's to a lesser extent in that though, because they weren't as connected. Like, they were very separate stories in that.
Right. They were until the last arc where he pulled all the threads together, right?
Well, yeah, but that's different from this, is what I'm getting at, because this is like, no, the entire thing is about building to the next thing, and you can feel it the entire time. That wasn't Dark Patterns was like, hey, oh, these are secretly all silly connected. That's a little bit different than this. Yeah.
But I feel like that's how he tells these stories, where there's these little pieces that build to the big piece, and then when you get there, everything, you know. Like you said, the Zani one. That was 3 smaller arcs that built to that big Zani confrontation there in the circus, and the Cirque du Sin and all that stuff. But and here I feel like we have to take a break for Bad Seeds, which I'm sure will be fine.
Yeah,
right?
for 2
but it's
issues.
Kind of killing the momentum for this.
Yeah, I wonder how Waters is going to handle that, and how much it's going to feel like it's just, you know, part of the crossover. If it's still going to feel like an issue of Nightwing, I'm curious to. It's always interesting to see how writers handle that stuff. This issue is excellent because it feels so focused about analysing kind of Nightwing's place in Bloodhaven, and the idea that we've got this prosecutor who's not a bad... Like, she's not a villain, seemingly. She just is doing her job and thinks that Nightwing did something wrong, so she's going after him. And the mayor has manipulated things enough here with the deck that he's sort of been dealt. Well, he kind of dealt the cards to begin with, I suppose, but like this idea that he effectively has made Nightwing indebted to him. Not that Dick's actually going to feel like he does owe him or anything like that, but this idea that he's been played in such a way where, oh, the mayor now thinks he's saved me from this, and like as if he can control me, as if I am like one of his puppets to run this city with. You know, that way that like a mob boss says to you, oh, hey, we're friends until you say something I don't like, and then we're not friends anymore. And then maybe all of a sudden...
I'm going to come to you with a favor one day, and I'm going to expect you to honor that favor.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It's that dangling carrot. So, but yeah.
I think that kind of turn towards the end is very good. It's a very satisfying conclusion to like this whole idea of them coming after him, because like I said, it felt easy in the moment, but obviously Dick reacted the same way as we did, so it didn't feel cheap. But the fact that it's like, no, it's easy because the mayor orchestrated this because he wants to maintain control. It does a couple things. One, it completely shifts the playing field for what we're actually fighting against now, which is a fun shake-up. But two, the fact that he has the actual witch means that we're kind of anticipating her doing something now as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's cool.
She's there to get revenge on the men of Gotham that you know put her up, and one of those type of people is the guy that's running things right now. Right? It's like the same story. Next chapter. He's the
exact person that she's wanting revenge against. Not just one off. He's like the 2026 version of the guy who was doing the witch trials, basically.
Yeah. The way that Waters and Cowan are able to put us on the same journey as Nightwing, because when that lady popped up as the witch, I went, what? And it's the same type of reaction that Dick's having. And that is some masterful storytelling there. And then, because I was like, how much longer? I got to be almost at the end, right? And then we're still like halfway through the book. So the way that they pace that, where I was like, oh, there's still so much more here. Because that feels, to me, from reading comics as much as we do, the reveal of the witch coming out and saying, oh, no, I surrender. That feels like a very end of the book
that could have... And like another writer might have put that at the end of the issue, like had the whole issue build up to that, and then we'd all be going, "What? The witch just turned herself in?" But no, that's just the start of this. That's just getting us going. Piece
of the story, and it's all about this guy and what they have all these debts, and so what does he do? They go to the mayor for a favor, and like you said, like the mob boss, but she has to turn herself in, and that's where the tragedy also hits too, because it's these people of Bloodhaven that are being affected by this. She's not going to see her kid, which is one of the reasons why she did, took the deal.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, because apparently they promised that after everything dies down with the media, they'll like get her out. Like they'll come up with some reasons and like put her on parole or something just to get her through the system. Yeah. Which maybe they'll live up to their word, maybe they won't. Who's to say? But either way, the mayor's behind all this. So yeah. Super interesting. Honestly, I am so impressed that I'm at a point where I'm like, this might be better than Taylor's run. And I love Taylor's run. Like, Taylor's run was fantastic.
It's much more like Taylor did the character study stuff with Dick too, but that would still seem to be like a lot of superhero-y stuff. Whereas this, I feel like we're getting into the psychology of Dick Grayson and how he relates to Bloodhaven.
Well, they're just doing very different things, because Taylor's run was all about the heart and the feel-good vibes of it. And that's not to say there was never threat and there was never villains with bite. There was, but it had a very different vibe and tone. War's run has been all about kind of the horrors of Bloodhaven, and we've had the Zanny, we've had the witch stuff and the supernatural stuff, and now the corrupt kind of mayor who's like the evil guy at the top doing all this stuff. It's went for a more sort of sinister side of Bloodhaven, which is great for one, just because it's a cool thing to explore, but it's also great just because it's also very refreshing after Taylor's run, because it's so different to what Taylor was doing. It's like it would be good on its own merits, but the fact that it's like, oh, like it's not just trying to recreate what Taylor was doing was actually like a really smart thing to do. I just think it's interesting because I feel like before Taylor's run, I think other than Dixon's run right at the start of the proper solo Nightwing book, I don't really think there was any runs of Nightwing that were considered, or at least I considered, like to be that like Kyle Higgins' New 52 run? Nah, not really. Like
it was decent, but it was. I feel like Nightwing's always been feast or famine, and now we've had back-to-back creators that's been more feast, right? And it's been consistent, which is real nice.
It's so funny to me that after that horrific little period of Rick Grayson, we've had two back-to-back, possibly best of all time Nightwing runs. The only other one really to rival them would be the Chuck Dixon run originally, which is very different, but obviously it's the original Nightwing run. It's got that era and it feels different because of that, and so they all stand. And I think it's just incredibly lucky as Dick Grayson fans that we've been met with these back-to-back runs.
Yeah, but him being so central to DC, I think that's what draws these type of writers to him. Because you can tell all these kind of stories. He's almost like Spider-Man in that way, right? Where you can do a bunch of stuff over at Marvel with Spider-Man because he can fit into all these different nooks that you can't necessarily do with
but I don't think, like, you know, when Nightwing's not had good runs, it's because there's not writers interested in telling these stories. It's more just editorial and who's in charge and how much they're prioritizing or putting on the book. Like, that's the real problem. The only thing I can compare this to, this must be like in the 2000s when people were really into Daredevil, when they went from like the Bendis run to the Brubaker run. This is what this must have felt like for them at the time.
Oh, that's. I hope that's where the similarities end because it got really bad after Brubaker.
Sure,
you know?
Yeah. Hey, you know, this can't last forever. If we get
let's keep this going.
If we get a third great run after Waters is done, that would be some kind of miracle. But because even Batman doesn't tend to get 3 great runs in a row. Don't know. Batman's had a lot of good runs, obviously, because they get a lot of good talent on Batman. But there's usually a stinker every few runs at least.
Before Fraction, there was the Darsky, all right? And
exactly.
We got it good now. So, yeah.
All right, what are you giving Nightwing?
That's a 9.
Yeah. I'm almost at a 9.5. Pardon me. I'm just going to go with the 9 though, I think. But excellent. Like I said, reading that after Superman Unlimited was like a night and day. Holy shit, this has actually got pacing. This is actually a comic book that's building to something. God. It's not just, you know, action slot.
That is so funny to me. Yeah.
All right, I got them hiccups. This is bullshit.
Jeez, I feel like I'm recording with Connor again.
Yeah, the specter of Connor's like lingering over us. I don't think I've had hiccups in like 5 years. All right.
Oh man.
Oh geez. All right, Batwoman issue 6. Greg Rucka writing, Jeffrey Spokes on the art. Interestingly, not Danny. Which I did notice quite quickly because Danny obviously has a very specific style, and it was notable that it wasn't there. Mainly because I've not been that hot on it, so I was like, "Oh, this looks a bit better than usual." So this issue is basically Kate telling the story of what happened. The almost what do you call it in Sherlock when him and Moriarty go off? Is it the Reichenbach fall?
Yeah, the Reichenbach falls. It's the end of their story.
Yeah. So it's definitely feels reminiscent of that because Batwoman and Alice, you know, go off a cliff into a river, and basically Kate tries to get to Alice, who's in the water and looks hurt, but she gets washed away, and Kate screams and thinks no, she's dead, and thinks she's basically had a hand in killing her sister. So this is obviously telling the backstory of how we got to like the start of this book, and she stumbles back to like the house. Her dad's there. Doing his Gundam or something. He's painting his little robot. He's got to have a hobby. Yeah, even he's got like a little nerdy hobby. Sure, I'm not mad at it. But she stumbles into the house and she's like collapsing. And she's like, I killed her dad. I couldn't save her. I killed Beth. But of course, we then see that Beth does wash ashore somewhere. She gets up. She takes off her blonde wig, her Alice wig. She's got the red hair underneath, and she walks into like a party that's happening, and this is out on the outskirts of Gotham, she said. And she walks, and someone recognizes her as Kate, right? Maybe an ex-girlfriend. And it's a little awkward because she's like, oh, this is my wife I'm with, you know, I've married someone. But she's like, hey, you okay, Kate? You look a little bit rough, and do you need help getting home? So they actually do like go out of their way to be nice to her and help her get home to Kate's home, like Kate's apartment. And they drop her off there, and she's looking around, and we get this very sensual kind of couple of pages with no dialogue where Beth takes a shower, she goes over to the mirror, wipes the steam off the glass. This is so well paced. This is the sort of stuff that I love when Rucka does this. Just the well paced kind of visual storytelling with the writer, with the artist. But she wipes the steam off the mirror, and we get this great like panel of Alice looking back at her. But she leans forward and imagines herself with the shorter hair and says, I don't have to be you. I can be Kate. And we do a lot of fun sort of mirroring things here where, like, you know, she's got the red hair in the real world, but in the mirror world, she looks like Alice. So we're kind of playing with that a little bit. So this is basically the start of, like, Beth's decision to be Kate forming after this fall. And then on the flip side, Bruce comes to see Kate, who's distraught with her dad, and basically says, hey, you're going through a lot. We're here for you. You can just talk to someone. I've got someone lined up in Greece that you can go talk to, a therapist. And Kate just hugs him and says the bad guys won, and like starts crying. It's actually a very sweet scene. But we also see Alice or Beth with the short red hair, now Beth. Being Kate, walking through the city. She goes to a tattoo parlor and gets a big star on her back. She comes home, and again, there's a really cool, well-paced visual scene here of her in Kate's apartment where she's living right now. But in walks her dad, but it's do that sort of timing thing where she hears the door going, so she sort of ducks out the way, and she sort of watches in quiet from the closet. As the dad's basically just there to pick up some of Kate's stuff because Kate's going to Greece. So he's just going in and grabbing a couple things, putting them in the bag. And it's this sort of, ships in the night, almost meeting each other kind of thing. But, Beth eventually goes down to the secret Batwoman lair and she sees the bike, she sees the outfit, and she's like, of course, I'm Kate Kane, I'm Batwoman, and she puts on the mask. So this is like doing the backstory. And then the reveal here is that all of this is Kate telling this to her therapist, that she's explaining the backstory of what happened to Beth, and she's here to recruit the therapist to give Beth therapy, that Beth needs someone like her more than she does. And then the big reveal is in the next page is that she's sitting there in her Batwoman outfit with the mask off. So she's put the cards on the table. Like I'm sure she glossed over who Bruce Wayne was for the sake of like protecting other, details that she shouldn't be revealing. Yeah.
Because she even mentions doctor-patient confidentiality, but she's like, yeah, it's not about just protecting me, it's others. Yeah. So definitely she's leaving some stuff.
And also protecting you as well, like the doctor, because if you know too much stuff, maybe it'll get and so on. So, yeah, I mean, the whole, like, I thought this was the best issue of the book. I loved this issue. I thought this was clear. It was well paced. It was telling the story of how these things came to be. And the reveal that this was all about Kate going back to the therapist to say, hey, like, I messed up. I needed therapy. But my sister is way more messed up and she needs help. Like, she needs someone to really talk to her and get through to her. So the idea that we're building up to that, and then we just have kind of like Kate arriving with the therapist to talk to Beth at the end, and that's just kind of, and that's the end of the issue. It's a very like somber, like, this was all about getting her help. And it's almost just kind of funny how the most like normal human thing to do for someone with mental issues is to see a therapist. Almost feels like a novel, fresh idea in a superhero comic book, because you don't expect them to do the simple, normal thing. It feels actually kind of monumental that they've just got Beth in a safe place and we're going to try the thing that we're supposed to do when someone's going through a lot of shit like this. So I like that a lot.
So this is where I got lost on this one, because I was reading this, getting ready to fall asleep, which I probably shouldn't have done because I probably needed to absorb this. When it got to the therapist, did not realize in my sleep haze that this is picking up from the last issue, and this was not the previous stuff. And that's where I got a little bit lost. I was like, wait a minute, when did all this happen? Because it was a surprise and all this other stuff. But going back at it now and being like, oh no, this is picking up now from the last issue when they got together. That's why she's in uniform. That's why she's out there sitting with the dad. Now it all comes together, right? So yeah, I probably shouldn't leave this to like 10 o'clock on a Friday to read as I'm getting ready to snooze for the night. But yeah, I will say my one big negative on this has nothing to do with the story. I do not like the way that Spokes draws Bruce Wayne.
Oh, that's fair.
He looks way too much like a male model. And I was just like, man, Bruce should have a rugged face, man. Like, that is a guy that's done things regardless of Batman or whatever. Even like Playboy Bruce Wayne should be like this guy that's lived a life, and just the way that he's drawn is way too clean. Especially compared to, Kate's dad and some of the other characters, it was super weird.
That is totally fair, but honestly, I was enjoying the art a lot in this issue, because I thought like so much of the good visual storytelling, particularly the stuff in the water at the start, or Beth like taking off the wig and walking to the party, and just her kind of passively being kind of broken and ending up back at Kate's place. Like, so much of that was visual. There was some dialogue with like the people she runs into, but it wasn't really from her. It was mostly from them talking to her. And then also that great scene where the dad like almost runs into her. Like, I thought all that stuff was really good. Really set this kind of vibe where I'm like, okay, this feels like this feels more like a Greg Rucka comic book, this issue, where everything's really clicking together. And then the heartfelt reveal that this is all through the lens of Kate explaining to the therapist who she actually was the whole time, and that her sister needs help, and that she, what her problems are, really felt like a good reveal to me, because it was such a simple thing of like, no, they're willing to go and like she's willing to go to the doctor and admit that she's Batwoman to explain the situation so that her sister can maybe get help because she needs it, because she has killed people recently as well.
Much more important. Yeah, I was say it's much more important to Kate that her sister gets help than her remaining anonymous.
Yep.
Right. So she's putting her sister over that, which is good. But yeah, this is the most, outside of the Bruce Wayne of it, this is the most I've liked Spoke's art, because really I've only been exposed through, what was that, the Captain Atom book, right? Not Captain Atom.
Jenny,
was the main villain.
Jenny Sparks.
Jenny Sparks. Yeah, the Jenny Sparks, which I wasn't a big fan of the art in there. This is much better.
I think the art in that was
pacing and
the art in that was completely fine. I thought. I just. Yeah, he's not an artist that excites me, but he's also not an artist that has like it's something that upsets me either. He's kind of neutral for me. Yeah. But because I've been kind of down on the Danny art in this book, it was actually quite refreshing to see something that was a bit more sort of clear to follow, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well, and the pacing, right? Like you said,
the pacing is a big thing.
Sometimes art's beyond just the way that faces look and their pose, but like you said, the entire her going through and realizing the differences in Kate, and if she wants to be Kate, this is what she has to do. But Alice is looking at her through the mirror.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal scene.
That all plays out. Yeah, that is, I think, the most I've ever liked Spoke's art. And it really goes to show the power of it. And
it's not entirely selling, because she does say a couple of things like, okay, I don't have to be you, I can be Kate. But it's so visual, like her leaning in, wiping the steam off, revealing the reflection of like the other version of herself, and then kind of leaning in and looking to her sides and sort of deciding who she wants to be. Like, you get so much into her head through just the visual storytelling of like how it's changing as she's looking at the reflection. It's just such a smart trick. And I love that it's not just an idea she gets out of the blue. She gets this idea because someone mistakes her for Kate and takes her to Kate's place.
Yeah.
So it's been teed up for her. Like, she's been given this opportunity and she's like, yeah, I'm going to take it. I'm Kate. They obviously, she's still...
It's like fate is interceding.
Yeah, she's still broken though, because obviously, as we see in all the story leading up to this in this book, she ends up getting into these fights and killing people, and she's still clearly not healthy, but it is interesting, like, she's at least taken a first step to not wanting to be Alice, and that seems like a desire for growth at the very least. So
yeah, well, and that's the biggest part of, like, again, going to therapy is making the decision to go, right? So you got to take that step. And so the fact that she took that step into not being Alice, right? But what gets me is Alice is still looking at her from the other side of the mirror. So Alice is still there.
Wait, right? Through the looking glass, you might say?
Yeah, right? Like, this Greg Rucka guy kind of knows what he's doing.
I mean, imagine if the next issue is just a therapy session with Beth. Like, how nuts that could get.
I'm not mad at that at all.
No, not at all.
But yeah, once I know you looked at me before we started recording where he said, I'm going to have you walk me through Batwoman because I got a little bit lost. And you looked at me with like the utmost confusion. And
because this is the most straightforward. Yeah, it's the most straightforward issue of Batwoman so far.
Yeah, right. And then once I put the pieces together, right, it's just like, oh yeah, no, it is that straightforward, and I'm silly. But yeah, next one's a Bad Seeds tie-in.
Yeah, sure. That's kind of a weird. I mean, don't get me wrong. This was a good. If we're pausing on Beth for a couple issues for the crossover, this was a good place to leave it for a couple issues. Is like, okay, she's went to the therapist to get her help. We can come back to the therapy session after the crossover, right? The idea that Kate maybe gets called in to help with the crossover. is kind of fine for a little bit. So it's a good place to leave it.
Definitely, and Danny's back for those two. So
interesting.
That seems to just be this fill-in.
Yeah. I wonder how connected it's going to be though, because like she's in Greece right now. I mean, maybe she'll get called back in. I guess I don't know.
Yeah, I just looked at the solicit text for that, and no, she's back in Gotham to lend a hand. I believe are the first words.
All right. Well, I'm interested to see how Rucka.
It was just supposed to be a quick return trip.
Yeah. I wonder how Rucka's going to work that. Same as what we said for Nightwing. Is just how they're going to like make it feel like it fits in. And maybe it won't. Maybe it'll work as part of a tie-in issue, but it'll feel a bit awkward in the run as like an ongoing. You know, maybe when you read the run in the future, you could just skip the crossover issues because it'll just feel like a detour or what. But hey, we'll find out. We'll find out next month.
And it's funny because 9 is the one that got solicited today. We talked about with the Fernandez art.
Yes.
And that apparently is the pickup for all of this stuff. So you'll go if you skip those. Yeah, you'll go from the Spokes art to the Fernandez art.
Interesting.
You know? So, yeah.
All right. Okay, what you giving Batwoman issue 6?
8.5.
Ah, yes. I think I agree with that. I think this is the best issue of Batwoman so far. I think the choice to make it be kind of mysterious what was going on and like Kate been in therapy, but it was like, here's this extra Batwoman. Like it made a lot of sense once it revealed what was going on, and that's where it started to get proper good, I think. But those first couple issues were definitely a little bit weird to take, and it took a few issues to get into it. But I'm starting to really like it now.
Looking back through hindsight and you realizing why she's there because she thought she killed her sister, you know, and then there's this other Batwoman running around while she's in getting help. Even though I do feel dumb for not predicting that the other Batwoman was Beth because it's her twin sister. It was the most obvious reveal in the world, but somehow it never occurred to us. But like, there's been so much time with Beth and the Alice stuff that I forgot they're identical twins. Like I knew they were sisters, but I forgot they were twins. So having that little nugget definitely would have changed the way we're reading it.
Yeah, you thought it was more of a Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger type of twindom.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Poor Beth saw the leftover Danny DeVito DNA.
Yep.
All right. Deathstroke, The Terminator, issue 6. Tony Fleecs writing with Carmine D. Giandomenico on the art. Take it away, Matt.
Oh man, so the last issue, it was Adeline was revealed to be the imposter Deathstroke, and she has Rose, right? She's got a gun to the back of Rose's head.
By any other name.
And she pulls the trigger. Yeah. And Rose gets shot, and she dies.
Wait, what? I wasn't expecting that to come. No, either did I. And now Slade is pissed. And so this goes on. Slade looks at it's Michael Cray and it's Deadshot. And he looks at him and he says, guys, you have no idea what she has just wrought upon you. Because if her goal was to take everything from me, then now I am Slade Wilson with nothing to lose. So if you stand in my way, I will not hesitate. There are no more rules. There's no more of this, League of Assassins, buddy system where there's rules. If my daughter is dead, I have nothing else to live for. And so this becomes a big battle. So those two, Cray kind of steps down. Deadshot is trying to intervene. And there's this running joke where every time he tries to intervene, Deathstroke gets a different limb of his. So like at one point he shoots him through the arm. So now he can't squeeze his gauntlet gun. And then another part, he throws a knife through his shoulder. So that arm's down as well. And there's a lady that goes up as Deathstroke's covering for Adeline. Because also we see that Adeline can fly. So unless I've missed something, I don't know if she's ended up with powers, if this is the armor. They don't really get too much into it. But there's a bystander who reveals herself to Slade and is like, hey, I feel a heartbeat. She's not fully dead. I'm a nurse. I will take care of this. And so Deathstroke gives her cover and now starts, fighting the assassins.
and goes straight for Adeline. And Adeline's like, look, I needed you to feel how I felt, and you didn't seem to care about our children, so I had to go against your child, which is another point that Deadshot makes. That's what gets him shot through the arm, is he goes, Slade, I don't know why you're losing your mind over losing a kid. You've done this before. And he goes, in a very dark way, he goes, yeah, but this is my kid, not our kid. This is different. This is personal, right? And it really sets up Adeline to be like a straight up villain. And, you know, in all of this, she's like, I wanted to make you feel the way that I felt when Grant, you know, when we lost Grant. You didn't even warn. You just kept going to work. You did this whole thing. And then when you got Joseph hurt and his neck slashed and he lost his ability to talk, y'all kept doing the supervillain thing. But now you're going to care over this one? And she goes, you know, the only difference between you and me now is I have depth perception, making a joke at his eye, right? But also in the grand scheme of things, like, he didn't see this coming, right? That he was so preoccupied in who killed Wintergreen, he never even thought that would be part of this elaborate scheme from Adeline to get revenge on essentially their life together. And that while she was his superior, he never treated her like that, right? Like, even as a wife, everything was always secondary to work. And she has a lot of resentment towards that. So yeah, so she's flying around kind of like Iron Man with the katanas, and Deathstroke is doing everything that he can to take her down. And it leads to this really cool moment where he's not wearing his helmet. So he's full in Slade, beard, eye patch. He picks up this piece of sheet metal and he like makes like a spring from it. You know how, like, they do pole vault where you stick it into the ground, spring yourself up. He does that while still hanging on to the shard, where he ends up connecting with Adeline and sending her down, where he cuts her arm off, right? Pins her to the ground with a sheet of metal that he used to propel himself up there. And she's sitting there pinned to the ground, you know, this thing through her shoulder. And she's like, yeah, but you don't understand. I took everything from you. Your name, your reputation, you know, your jobs, everything. And he goes, yeah, you know what? Keep it. And the issue ends with Rose in the hospital. She's, you know, stable for the most part. She is now missing her eye, which is the opposite eye that Deathstroke has. And she's, you know, she has people looking guard over her. One of them, I think, is Michael Cray, who was there. So he was thinking. Deathstroke shows up in a hoodie. And Cray asks, are you going to be okay? He goes, no, I'm not. And it ends with this, like, narration from Slade that is a note to Rose, basically apologizing. Like, look, I'm very sorry that being my daughter has done this to you. You know, I did not intend that, but, you know, but you're everything that I'm not. And he's like, look, I know it's a mess being like this. You know, I know it makes you stubborn, and I know you'll heal quick, but those scars, they'll always remain. And that, you know, your body is strong, even if the heart is fragile. And it's him essentially being vigil over her, right? As she is in this bed. And it pulls out to where Adeline was, and her arms left there, but that big metal shard's still sticking out of the pavement. And he goes, and it ends where Deathstroke writes in this letter, I'm making changes, and I quit. And he signs it off his dad. And it looks like he tears it up, which I don't know why, as a writer, Flex would go with that, with have us read this letter about how he's changing, just for him to tear it up at the end. So I'm sure there'll be some other thing. But yeah, it seems like Deathstroke now is just Slade. And he is, you know, off to go do whatever he needs to do and distance himself from those that he cares about. He literally is a man with nothing, not even his name. And so yeah, this part was called Part 6, Killer for Hire, and it has the for hire striked out, with just Killer. So yeah. Leaves Deathstroke in a different spot now, right? Just a Slade. He's no longer this contract killer. He has no reputation. He had to take those, Craigslist jobs essentially. And now it seems like, Adeline's out there somewhere. And where does this leave leave him? Also, they had teased Jason Todd early on that, Rose has been hanging out with him. So I'm wondering if she's now in this new state, either going to keep factoring into Deathstroke or if she's going to shift over to Titans, or if Jason Todd's going to come looking for Slade now because of Rose being in the state. So it definitely leaves us with enough like fruit on this vine. The Giandomenico art's great. Like again, that entire sequence of Slade and Adeline fighting, ending with her getting pinned to the ground, losing her arm. It's really like superhero actiony stuff, which is super cool. But then the quiet moments here at the end where he's sitting and reading this letter to Rose as she's, recovering in the hospital in a coma. All these soft, tender moments as well, which we don't usually see too much from Giandomenico, right? Like he's usually the actiony guy, always doing that type of stuff. So it was nice to see he pulls it off. And yeah, it ended up being a Slade story with heart, which we don't tend to get. Like even in the stuff that I really liked from early Rebirth, it was very methodical in that side of not so much the human aspect of Slade. So I appreciate Flex bringing that in, and yeah, I got to see where this goes. So I'm gonna keep going. I thought this would be I got through the first 6, go back, but yeah, I'm very curious to see this man with nothing, the Deathstroke with no name kind of thing going forward. So yeah, I'm gonna give this a straight 8.
All right, cool. That will take us on to Dark Knights of Steel 2, Issue 2, Tom Taylor writing with Otto Schmidt on the art. So, last issue ended with Kara, or I'm going to call her Kara a lot. It's Zala technically, but it's this version it's this world's version of Kara. Right? We all know what I'm talking about.
You just call her not Kara, and you're still right because she's not Kara.
Yeah. So she got sick and plummeted to the ground last issue. And we said that, okay, she could be dead, but she also could just be on her deathbed, and then it's going to be about trying to save her. This issue actually ends up having all of the L's get sick the exact same way. So Cal, Lara, they're all held up. And of course, this is all about political intrigue. There's kind of a little bit of a, hey, we kind of trust each other's kingdoms, right? Where we're having this big marriage, all the rest of it. But this did happen on Amazon grounds, so we would like to take Zala back to our castle and our kingdom and deal with her there. And there's just enough to sort of try and stoke some fires. And of course, the whole time I'm thinking, Waller's behind it all. Like, that's all I could think. Yeah. As soon as they started setting this up,
we know this. Yeah. Because we as readers know that she was behind the Martian stuff.
Yes.
Like she helped facilitate it. Yet here she is still as like the trusted advisor to the Kingdom of Metropolis, which I forgot about. I forgot that wasn't revealed to our characters, So that added a bit of intrigue. Yeah. Also, the final reveal, which we'll get to, added a lot more intrigue.
Of course, yeah. That did shake things up quite a bit. Because the whole thing here is that, Harley, the advisor, kind of convinces Lara that, hey, maybe we should be back better on our own kingdom. So there's a whole moment here, because obviously they were having like Lois and Clark flirt last issue. They clearly got feelings for each other. And there's a whole moment here where Lois turns to Clark just before they leave and says, hey, if someone like planned this from inside our kingdom, if this was an Amazon who did this, like, I'll get to the bottom of it. Like, I'm going to solve this. And Clark's like, yeah, I know you will. Thank you, Lois. So it's like, okay, they still care about each other, or they're still having those feelings. But as they're flying back, that's when Clark and Lara both, and there's a great panel here, actually. Lara starts to feel a bit woozy, and then you see this full page spread of her just crashing through the stained glass window on the inside of the castle. Yeah. It's a gorgeous page. So that's good stuff.
And the crater that she leaves too, in the throne room, like she lands with impact.
Yes. But what I like about it is that like the curtain that sort of went down is kind of covering it all, so it's kind of got this weird sunken kind of curtain thing going on. It's really good.
Yeah.
But Waller's there. Waller's expecting them. And Waller's like, hey, the royal family are sick, so we're going to tighten up security. And now I'm the one giving the orders. And I'm like, oh, this is funny. It's almost like you've given yourself a lot of extra power here. Speaking of ambition, we do go over to the Bloodhaven Isles, which I do like that, the Bloodhaven Isles. And Victor Falcone here is torturing a victim and enjoying himself, but has to rush because he has to go speak to his father. And he's like, hey, my spies in the Kingdom of El have reported that they're all sick. They're weak right now. We should go and take back that kingdom and expand. And the dad, he's like, enough. What are you talking about? Like, we're not doing that. What's all this ambition, you little shit? Like, you're a failure. Why do you have your own spies? Why are you conspiring?
Yeah. Why are you covered in blood, you little freak?
Yeah, also that. Yeah, also that.
I love that. I love the why are you covered in blood and why do you have spies? What are we even doing? Phil's very Game of Thrones here. Like, this was the type of stuff that I really liked on Game of Thrones, the interpersonal, because it feels like whoever the king here is not as ambitious as Victor would like, and that makes him a sitting target.
Well, it's Falcone, right? We knew that from the last issue.
Yeah, but do we know it's not Carmine, is it?
I don't remember if they said the first time. I don't remember if they said that last issue.
Because Victor Calzone, completely different character. Like actually could be a restaurant. Falcone, that's not a character that we're that familiar with. That's like a reimagining of somebody.
Well, I think it's Zaz. I think this is like a.
Yeah.
Like they've merged Zaz with, I guess, Alberto Falcone. Yeah. I mean...
Quite possibly, because, he does have... the way that he's torturing this guy, it's a lot of straight marks.
Yeah, it feels very Zaz-esque.
Yeah, so that makes sense.
It's also the only Victor I can think of other than Freeze, but this doesn't feel like Mr. Freeze in any way, shape, or form. So... No. So the thing is, a week later, Wonder Woman and Lois and some of the Amazon Guard arrive in the Kingdom of Metropolis, and Amanda Waller pretends to be all welcoming and nice, but says that only Wonder Woman and Lois can go to the castle, the others have to, go elsewhere or whatever. And they're like, oh, it's fine, we'll go get lodgings, but the crowd are clearly on edge, they're all looking at them, someone throws fruit at them, and they try and, calm everything down. But then the Amazons notice the guy that threw the fruit is actually wearing chainmail armor underneath his civilian clothes. And it's like, oh, this is clearly a setup. They want a fight. They want to provoke something here. And sure enough, someone fires an arrow, which we later find out is intentionally an Amazon arrow, even though none of the Amazons seem to have done it themselves, right? Like, Waller's set up an assassin, a hired hand, to fire an Amazon arrow so that later on it'll look like the Amazon started a fight. And sure enough, a fight breaks out. Gordon, right, comes in with Montoya and Bullock, who are all part of the City Watch, and they come in to break up the fight. And this is all a scuffle. We're like, who do we root for here? And then it gets quite nasty because Montoya ends up getting stabbed by Lois. Not intentionally per se. It's just kind of a turnaround and, walk into the blade type thing.
Lois is literally fighting for her life as an Amazon, and the Montoya comes over, and it just happens to be one of those freak mistimed, right, where she ends up running into the sword blade, and it seeming like it does her in, and Bullock doesn't like that.
Yeah, although... Well, Bullock wanted to just go, kill... I was going to say guns blazing. It's not guns, obviously, but you know what I mean. He wanted to just...
Batons blazing.
Yes. Later on, Amanda Waller, though, when she's talking to whoever set this up, says, oh, and did Lois's blade get bloodied? And it's like, yes. So it's almost like maybe even whoever's behind this actually pushed Montoya onto it to make sure it happened kind of thing. So, very nasty. Lois gets knocked out. They all get arrested. And then we finally get the proper reveal where Waller's talking to our
Dr.
chemist.
Arkham.
Yeah, Dr. Arkham, who it turns out to be. But it's she's literally dosing the Kryptonians with presumably some sort of kryptonite like, concoction in
Yep.
their food every night to keep them sick. And it's like, hey, don't give them more than 3 drops because they'll die too quick. You want to keep them alive long enough so that the city gets used to you being in charge, so that when they do die, it won't feel like a sudden shift anymore. So, yeah, I mean, this is... it all makes sense. Like, this was, I think, a solid issue, and it felt satisfying because everything felt like it was clicking into place that made sense. It didn't feel like it was betraying anything that it set up. It made sense. It made me hate Waller. It made me want her to get taken down. And that leads us to our final little stretch here, which is that Babs, Oracle, is basically seeing this. She sees that Waller is doing this with her Oracle vision powers. And she runs to tell her dad that this is an inside job, that someone is committing treason. This is a job from within. And before she can get out, though, the city guard show up at his door in force, right? The tons of soldiers, and oh, you have to come and see Waller right now, and that's including your family, including your daughter. And he's like, what? On whose order? And it turns out to be Waller, and immediately Gordon and Waller, when they see each other, start fighting. And this is actually the last page of the book, but the reveal at the end of the book is, because obviously I think in the moment as you're reading it, you're thinking, oh, Waller somehow knows that Barbara is a seer, that she is seeing this stuff and wants to take her off the table. But the twist here is that Barbara Gordon is the daughter of Jim Gordon and Amanda Waller. They were a thing in the past. And all of this fighting when they see each other is actually the bickering of two exes rather than... Because I think, again, at first you think, oh, this is like a position thing where she's higher up the rank, he's, acting out a line. But no, this is like an ex-lover spat almost. And I'm like, so...
They're fighting in only way an ex-husband and an ex-wife can.
Yeah, so not only is this like a weird wrinkle into all the character dynamics that they've got this past, it means that Waller's maybe only getting her daughter back. Maybe she doesn't know about the Oracle visions. Maybe she does. That remains to be seen. Yeah. But it does make it interesting that Babs was about to tell on her own mother and presumably still wants to stop her. So Barbara just became this really important character who Amanda Waller might let have a bit more leeway than everyone else because it's her daughter, but she might be kind of the Trojan horse that ends up saving everyone else because she's got access. Yeah.
She inadvertently brought someone in that can bring her down. Right? If she doesn't know that she has this Oracle stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Because she says that she, our daughter will be safe here. Right? So basically bringing her from the city to the castle where she can keep everybody safe. Which seems to be an oversight by Waller, which she doesn't get too many of those.
Yeah, but I mean, how could she?
I like that. I like that wrinkle.
But yeah, how could she know? How could she possibly have predicted that her daughter's developed this power? So
she can't.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because it suddenly makes Babs super important and at least setting the dominoes off that maybe gets the elves back on their feet or convinces someone else that Waller's up to something or whatever it is. Super interesting. We kind of glossed over the whole Aquaman bit where Aquaman's explaining that Black Manta's raising hell in the oceans and he's coming for the sea kingdoms. So
and they'll have to be a united front.
Yes.
In order to fight him, right?
Yeah.
That's why I came to you guys, because of your league.
It was the least interesting part, so we just kind of glossed over it, but it's worth mentioning just to establish it.
It looks really cool. Otto Schmidt's art for Black Manta being this undersea terror.
Yeah, that was
pretty cool.
That was good. I will say the only thing I don't like about the art is how he draws Aquaman otherwise, though. I think Aquaman looks really kind of, I don't know, he's always in a beachwear commercial or something like that. I feel like maybe it's because the art and all the Aquaman backups back in the winter all winters miniseries.
Yeah,
it was
Federici.
It was Federici, yeah. So there was this sort of moody atmosphere to all the Aquaman stuff. And here he feels like he's a surfer dude from California who's smiling all the time. And I'm like, this feels like such a different vibe to that Aquaman that we get introduced to before.
Yeah. I do like that he turns and looks like he does. It's kind of like Thor in the first Thor movie.
A little bit.
Where he's this kind of space cadet kind of dude. But the way that he looks at Constantine, he's like, I'm sorry, Scruffy Man, who are you? Right? Yeah, there's almost like a cluelessness to him, which I would say kind of comes through the art a little bit. But yeah, he does. He looks like like you said, a beach model.
Yeah.
You know, a swimsuit model hanging out on the beach. But that page with Schmidt, with Black Manta destroying parts of Atlantis and the people all bound by there. It's done with like almost like these watercolors on that are different than the coloring for the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, I mean the art in the majority of the book is good. It's just the vibe of the Aquaman is just a little bit too light and weird to me. But everything else, like the crashing through the window when Lara goes down, even that small moment between Clark and Lois where Lois is promising she'll get to the bottom of it. Like I could feel them genuinely being reassuring to each other in that moment, and that part of that was the art, not just the dialogue. So yeah, but
for sure.
That's a good issue. I'm invested in what's going on. Hopefully, this one doesn't suffer the delays that the first book was very, very prone to.
Yeah, and well, Schmidt is more of a steady hand, I would say. Like he was on that vampire stuff for a very long time.
He was, yeah.
So
yeah.
So I feel like this is a steady hand. We'll get this out quicker.
Yeah, they're going to reveal that someone's a vampire in the next issue, and that'll be like, oh, Schmidt's back on the vampires again.
I'll be so mad. That would be enough to make me throw my iPad, I would say, because it doesn't need it. That's a hat on a hat, all right? I'm enjoying the medieval Justice League.
Yeah, my tech's all skyrocketing in price because of the RAM shortage, so don't be throwing your tech around willy-nilly.
True. I'll keep something by me that is equal weight.
Sure, yeah,
go for it. Feel good to throw, yeah.
Because some devices are like double the price compared to this time 6 months ago. So,
great. I love the world we live in.
I know it sucks. It's all because of AI. So thank AI for that.
Yep.
All right, what are you giving Dark Knights of Steel to issue 2?
I'm gonna give this an 8.5. Quite liked it.
That's straight 8 for me, but I'm enjoying it. I mean, it's obviously early to tell. It's only 2 issues, but I feel like I'm into this a bit more than I was the first Dark Knights of Steel at this point, right? Who's to say how I feel? 10 issues from now, assuming it's another 12-issue book.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I was struggling to get into it when it started because it was maybe leading too much out of the fantasy stuff. And while we're still kind of in that setting, of course, here. It feels like, at least because maybe it's because I know all the characters and they've all been established and like there's only a few new things getting added each issue as opposed to everything's new. Maybe I'm getting into it a bit easier. I don't know, but either way, it feels like I feel more comfortable with it this time at the very least. So take that for what you will. So cool. Every month on Patreon, you can make myself read a book at one of the higher tiers. This one, someone also makes Matt read, and that is Green Arrow issue 30, which we're going to talk about here. And this is the penultimate issue of the run, in fact, as well as the arc, obviously. And it's the standoff with the Crimson Archer. Oliver's kind of realized, or the Archer's revealed who he is. Oliver doesn't quite believe it just yet. Because he's like, I saw you die. And the one critique we had last issue was like, we don't really care about who this guy actually is. It's kind of the least interesting part of all this.
Yeah.
What I did like here, though, unsurprisingly, is Montos's art with that undershadow. It's not undershadow, but the underlight as if he's getting lit from below to make him look menacing as he's talking to Oliver. I thought was really nice looking. Really good stuff. And he's like, it's
proper scary.
I've taken control of like both the legal and illegal drugs in Star City. Like I'm going to be controlling everything, and you inspired me to do it. I wouldn't be able to do any of it, Oliver, if it wasn't for you. So Oliver fires an arrow at the tanks in the background, and he's like, "You idiot! That's pure!" And then there's just a big explosion, which I love that this alerted Roy and Shoes over on like because they're still on the rooftop talking about what they did last issue, and they're like, "Wait, did you hear that explosion?" We should probably go check that out. So that's how they all converge in this issue, and that looks great. So,
the page that leads up to the explosion with the way Montos draws the arrow. So it there's 5 panels where it's coming towards, let's say, camera, and then it flips to you see it going away from like the opposite
Yes.
angle, where you see the tail of the arrow heading towards Crimson Archer, where it ends with a no and a clang, and that's where he goes, that you idiot, that's a tank of pure, and then the boom. The way that Montos does that art, it is like storyboarded, like
It's
perfectly timed, everything.
Yeah,
so good.
It feels like it's in slow motion intentionally. Like that's the point, is that you're watching this arrow fly in slow motion. He's very lucky though, Oliver, because there's a couple of people in there who almost die because of this explosion, and he's like, "Oh, that was it." Yeah. In hindsight, maybe that wasn't that smart, but he's just kind of lucky it didn't get anyone killed. But you know, we get him being the hero and going around and picking up the people who are forced to work here and helping carry them out, blowing the door open to get them out. And all this looks great. Oliver looking back over his shoulder through the flames, the green's popping against all the orange. All really good stuff. And that's when, after this, obviously, the other two show up and they're like, how can we help? And I love the look on Shu's like face, like her eye roll, as Oliver and Roy are hugging and having their whole reunion moment. So... yeah, but yeah, it's like, hey, let's go get this guy. So we get this full page spread, the full superheroics of all of them grappling up to the top of the building. You know, and because Oliver's green, the other two are in red. They kind of complement each other with Oliver in the middle.
I also love that the building is shaped like Nakatomi Plaza, and that there's a helicopter waiting for the bad guy at the top, which that was not lost on me, which I do love. And then Ollie shoots the arrows to the controls, which makes Crimson Archer stand his ground, which a bit, I don't want to say anticlimactic because there's some big things that happen here, but now that I know this is the penultimate issue of the run, it definitely feels a little bit rushed. You know, where I feel like maybe there's a little bit more.
I don't think that's. I think that's kind of unavoidable and not their fault. I think that's like they knew by this point they had to wrap it up, and maybe that's you know, because I think
absolutely
because they have this fight here, right? And you know, we get like the arrows hitting the Crimson Archer. We get those great shocked looks on the face of the two of them, is because basically he gets shot in the arm with an arrow and he rips it out with his teeth and then fires it back at them, and you get these great shocked looks on their faces. But yeah, you get so good. You get them diving out the way, but although Roy actually gets caught in the leg with the arrow the Crimson Archer fired,
he gets nicked.
So there's some fighting and there's some, and it all looks great. All the colors are popping immensely, and ultimately, Crimson Archer actually like stumbles off the edge of the roof and goes flying. Which notably, no one goes after him to stop him from dying, which I thought was a little bit dark and funny.
No.
But you know, it ends with you know, Roy sort of breaks down, kind of crying, and both Shoes and Oliver go over to hug him, and he's like, "I'm okay." You know, she's asking like, "Dad, are you?" And he's like, "I'm okay." And Oliver says he's the best damn son anyone could ask for, and it kind of ends with them hugging in silhouette, and that's how the issue ends. I think the fact that this fight with the Crimson Archer has happened in this issue. Now, admittedly, he did kind of still get away to an extent. I mean, if he survived the fall, assumingly. But it feels like...
We didn't see a splat.
We did see a splat. That is very true. But it feels like the big fight happening here is because they probably wanted to spend the last issue doing all of the stuff they wanted to end the run with. And that's why maybe this feels like they're rushing to the conclusion a little bit of this.
Yeah. Yes. Which I would see. But yeah, just again, Montos art with when Crimson Archer falls off, you just see there's a little speech bubble that says "Watch out for the," and then you just see this double panel of him off the side of the building.
You assume that ended with the word "ledge." Watch out for the ledge.
Yes.
And instead he falls. And it's almost like a dark like comic moment, but. Yeah, all the fight looks great. I loved it in like some of the panels where like he gets punched, the background just goes full yellow, a solid color, as opposed to the actual, you know, background. So it's you know it feels very vibrant. It feels very energetic. The pacing is good. The detail and the shadows with Montos are always fantastic, and that's true through all of this. So I mean, it looks gorgeous. Like I had a great time. The only thing being like, maybe they rushed to the ending a little bit because they only had one issue left to do whatever their final statement is with Green Arrow.
Yeah.
So, we'll see how that is next time.
And Roy only got grazed with a regular arrow, right? Not one of the injector arrows?
No, because it was the one it was the one he pulled out of his arm, I think, right? Because they shot him in the arm, and he pulled that out and shot it back at them. So it wasn't he wasn't drugged again, no.
Okay. Yeah, because there's one of those injector arrows at the bottom of the last panel that's broken and whatever, and I was like, oh, I hope that's not what we're, dealing with the last issue. But no, that was. I went back and looked at the art, which that was probably my favorite moment for the issue, is where he rips it out with his teeth and fires it back at them. And I was like, oh, okay, this went from a kind of lame villain to this guy. What's his deal? Like, is he all hopped up on his own drugs and that's why he's able to do this, or what? Because that is not normal.
It was
pretty normal Archer behavior.
It was pretty hardcore at the very least, and it was fun seeing them realize what he was doing, look shocked, and then you get them all diving out of the way again, kind of in slow motion. And it's just like, you get it gets closer and closer, and it's just Roy's foot still there as he's diving out the way, and it gets it, and it's like, oh, that's that. Oh well. Hopefully he may be limping for a few issues. Well, one issue because there's no more Green Arrow, but I mean, it's very well paced. I was a little bit worried at the start of the issue, even though it looked gorgeous. I was worried that it was going to be a lot of Crimson Archer monologuing about who he is. Luckily, it's 2 pages, and then that's it. We're on to the theatrics, because the theatrics, once they get going, because of Montos art, is great. It all works. It all works. So, yeah.
I also think it's hilarious that the Archer, whatever his real name is, he did not change his initials, so they're still the same. Yeah, because I looked at that when he changed his name too. So, that was still the reveal. Still probably the weakest part of this arc, but I love all the interpersonal things with Ollie, with Shoes and Roy. Like, all that stuff is still really good, and that's the type of stuff that I like from Condon. That's the stuff that so far he's nailed.
Yeah, all that stuff's great. The thing with the reveal of who the killer is, though, is that it's very hard in a superhero comic to do like a murder mystery type thing. Because if the reveal is a character that we don't already know, it feels like, how do you make that new character interesting? And it's not impossible. I think some people do it. Nope. It's usually, though, very obvious who it's going to be, because, like, hey, this one new character that's had a lot of development, I wonder if they'll turn out to be the killer, because they're the only one that's had the development to make it matter if they're the killer, right? Alternatively, it can be someone who's already an established character, and that can be quite shocking, and maybe it's, oh, that's a big deal, they've turned into a killer, maybe we do something with that. But it's very difficult to thread the needle here, though, and ultimately retconning someone into Oliver's past when he was in this military situation was always going to be a tough sell, unless like there was a lot more like to the backstory that they were maybe going to go into if they had more issues. Like maybe there would have been a full flashback issue, like fleshing out what that time spent together was,
Yeah. But like the whole thing of the different perspectives, but we saw what really happened, how it actually went down type thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad that Condon has landed on his feet though with the different books that, because Brutal Dark, fantastic.
Oh, of course.
I'm looking forward to his take on Gotham Central. He's become a name that I will instantly check out anything, and it is thanks to the Green Arrow run. So, and again, he seems to get the best artist, right? You got Montos, and then you got trying to blank on his name.
Phillips, not Sean Phillips, the other Phillips.
Jacob, his son.
Yes.
It's still a Phillips. So
Junior Phillips.
Condon's real good. So curious to see how this wraps up. Because again, this was a run that I'd heard was good, but I didn't really check out. So to see how they wrap up the final issue, I'm very curious on.
Be very, very interested. I'm looking forward to that final issue next month. So, all right, what are you giving Green Arrow issue 30?
I'm gonna give this a straight 8.
Yeah. I'm still going to go 8.5, I think, because the art and the action is just so gorgeous, and I was still invested in it because it was the 3 characters working together, which was nice after they'd been separated for like several issues. No, I had a good time. Like I think the identity of the killer being kind of a whatever is the biggest critique I think you can give this arc, but it doesn't actually render anything all that poorly, though, to be honest. So there you go. That's Green Arrow. Moving on to another Patreon book, I also read Gideon Falls, issue 18, this week, continuing the Jeff Lemire story, which is really getting into the meat of the lore and all that stuff now, which... So, last issue, and keep in mind that the priest had swapped over into the city version of Gideon Falls and is with Dr. Zoo, and Norton, whose real name is Danny, had swapped over into the town Gideon Falls, and he was at the hospital with his father and the sheriff, his sister, and the laughing man, which is kind of what they call the smelling demon entity in this issue, so we've kind of got a name for him now, or it's a title for him. He seemed to take over the dad, and it looked like at the end of the last issue, the dad was well possessed, had killed the doctor, and that was the cliffhanger. This issue starts with the cleanup of that crime scene, and the dad's like, oh god, did I do that? What have I done? And the daughter's obviously, like, you know, concerned about it. She's trying to, like, be calm. And the other cop comes in and says, hey, you need to come and see this, Clara. And she goes to watch the security footage as Norton stays with the dad. And the dad's like, hey, he wanted you, Danny. He wanted you, but, you know, I wouldn't let him. Like, you believe me, right? Because no one believes me. And he puts his hand on his shoulder and says, yeah, I do believe you. I've seen him too, the laughing man. I've seen that smile. So that's the start of the issue. And it cuts to the other characters, though, right? So if you remember, the bishop character contacted the priest, or even collected the priest last issue with Dr. Zoo. We go back to them, and he's explaining basically the lore of Gideon Falls. And the original Norton Sinclair, the one in the past, like, you know, whatever year it was, I don't remember, like 1890 or something like that. He built this device, this machine that he called the Pentaculus, and it ripped a sort of dimensional rift in the world that you came from, the small town Gideon Falls. And when he looked into that rift, something looked back at him. Our world was reflected in its horrible black eye, and then reflected again and again, each reflection a new reality, a new universe, a new Gideon Falls. And the barn, which the machine was in, kind of became this thing where it existed in every reality. So it's become this weird thing that rifts through time and space in all the Gideon Falls. But something else happened, something slipped through that rift, something evil, this laughing man seemingly, and took this Norton Sinclair, the original Norton. And I do love that as he's explaining this, Dr. Zoo's like, wait, what are you talking about? Norton's like 26. Like, there's no way he could have done this. What are you talking about? And the bishop explains, no, that's not, like, the man you know as Norton is actually Danny, whatever. He took that name because it's the only name he could remember after his traumatic experience, because he encountered Norton Sinclair inside the barn. But that's not. What's weird, though, is that he talks about how as you, like, get closer to the center of all these worlds, all the Gideon Falls, there's something there that's important. And he believes that 5 people are supposed to go there. The bishop went as far as he could when he was traveling through, and he even brings up meeting the older version of Dr. Zoo and says that she's going to be important, to which she says, what, yeah, right, whatever. She doesn't really believe it. But he says that there'll be 5 to get to the center, right? Like, because Zoo asks, where did my Norton go? It's like, you two need to find him. It's imperative. There must be 5. The great travelers, the priest, the doctor, the soldier, the prophet, and the father. Now, I don't know who the soldier's supposed to be yet.
Mm-hmm.
But the priest is obviously our main priest, right? The doctor's Dr. Zoo. The prophet is presumably young Norton, and his father being the father, right? So, assuming I'm right about those, I don't know who the soldier's meant to be. But this idea that the 5 are supposed to go to the center, and this is stuff that he learned from older Dr. Zoo, who's closer to the center. And they've got these maps up here, all that, and the priest is like, what do you call this thing at the center? And he's like, I don't know, but I got as close as I could. Things get weird as you get closer. Time starts acting differently. But yeah, they've got like a version of this device. They've kind of rebuilt this Pentaculus thing that the original Norton had. and it's like, hey, we have to show you. And we get this 2-page layout, which is basically just a bunch of squares of all these different versions of Gideon Falls. And one's got a pirate ship in it, one's like a dystopia, one's like World War II times, one is cyberpunk, one is during like a 1984 style kind of future, one's like, like it's all these different versions in very different kind of settings. Over and over again to try and like sell the idea to the priest and Dr. Zoo that they're important and they have to go together to try and collect Norton and the others and try and get to the center to like stop all this. So it's like, okay, all this lore was clearly thought out before he started writing this book. This all feels like super tying in together. It's very satisfying seeing all this stuff kind of start to feel like it's clicking into place. But yeah, I mean, basically we go back to Norton and his dad, and the dad's like, hey, can you get me out of here, Danny? Like, I need to go. And we see the sheriff go and look at the security footage. And it turns out that the dad did not kill the doctor. It was actually a nurse that was in the room. But you can see in the security camera that the dad touched her, so it's almost like he passed on the possession to her. Like the laughing man moved from him to her. And the camera gets all blurry when this happens as well, so you don't even see how it happens. But then the doctor comes in the room, the camera's back to normal, and then the nurse stabs the shit out of him. And it's like, oh shit, the nurse, where's she? And then we go outside, and we see that the nurse passes it on to this other guy who's getting into his car. And she's got these red eyes, and she opens this guy's mouth up, and she basically vomits like a bunch of, I don't know, locusts or cockroaches or something into his mouth. Big 2-page spread, really, really grisly. So when the sheriff and the other cops go outside, they find the nurse just crying on the floor, just like saying, what have I done? Why are my hands all bloody? What have I done? And they're like, how do we cope with this? And we just see this guy that it was passed on into driving down the road, and he eats a cockroach, and then he looks at the mirror, and in the reflection we see the laughing man looking back at him. And it's like this really eerie, ominous, like creepy, like he's out there in a body and he's off to do something. Honestly, it's a super effective page. Like even this entire sequence from the second we see the security cameras mess up and it's revealed to be the nurse, everything from there is just a step to step to step of like things that make sense until we're like, oh, he's out there. Honestly, this made me think of I can't really say why because of spoilers, but it made me think of something very specific in Twin Peaks. And I'm never mad to be reminded of Twin Peaks. I'll just say that. No.
So I know that Lemire was inspired by Twin Peaks, right? And this was two ideas that he had that he fused together, but one of them was very much an homage to Twin Peaks. And knowing what I know about David Lynch, and my other interest is like high strangeness stuff that David Lynch was very into,
yes,
and made its way into Twin Peaks. The Smiling Man sounds a lot like Injured Cold, right? Which I don't know how much about Injured Cold you're familiar with.
No, not at all.
He shows up as a character in Lynch's Lost Highway.
Right, okay.
So Injured Cold was this, so I feel like it was in West Virginia, some maybe back east somewhere, but this guy picked up a hitchhiker who was speaking to him telepathically, who was bald and white and would not stop smiling. And he said that his name was Injured Cold, claimed to be an alien, this whole other things, and then this guy goes on adventures with Injured Cold. That's kind of where it goes off. What David Lynch does with the character of Injured Cold is makes him like this ultra-terrestrial being that exists in multiple spaces at once. And it's very odd and ominous. And in Lost Highway, he is played by Beretta. Who's that actor? Anyways, he's very off-putting. Yeah. Oh God, I'm drawing a blank on the actor's name. But he played Beretta. There's a famous murder trial where he said it could have been him that murdered his wife because he left his gun inside the Italian restaurant. Robert Blake. I knew it would come to me. But Robert Blake plays him in Lost Highway, and it's very, very creepy. And yeah, this is what the gritting man, the smiling man, sounds like. It sounds like Injured Cold. And knowing that, and you bringing up that it reminds you of something from Twin Peaks, and knowing that David Lynch was into that stuff, and Lemire was inspired slightly by this, it is all lining up. Now I'm feeling like I need to catch up to see where this goes, because this is You know, I was already piquing my interest.
Yeah, it's very good.
But now it's rounding. Yeah, I gotta see this for myself. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just over the halfway mark. This is like the second issue in book 2, so not a bad time to catch up. But yeah, like very reminiscent of a certain entity in Twin Peaks, which I won't spoil, but this idea is inside someone else, and that's now the issue. So we go back to Dr. Zoo and the priest, and they're like, wait, why me? Why us? Like, why did you put me in this position? And he's like, yeah, because you always fail, but you always like come back and don't give up. And he tries to explain to Dr. Zoo that you're also really important. It may not make much sense right now, but it's kind of your calling. You both have to do this, and you have to do it together. So it's kind of really weird, actually, that after so many issues, like, I mean, not counting this one, the last one, like the priest, Wilfred, and Dr. Zoo, they never interacted. They were literally on different worlds from each other. Like, she was always paired up with Norton. Wilfred was always paired up with the sheriff, Clara. It's so wild that they've switched places now. So now we have like these pairs of characters who like we never saw speak to each other for like so much of the book. And I mean that in a good way. Like, it's really exciting. And the bishop's like, you have to take a leap of faith. Because Wilfred asks like, how, like, there's so many worlds, how do we find our way back? And he's like, you just have to, you'll find it inside yourself. You take a leap of faith. So we get this great 2-page spread where on one side it's all these like TV screens and there's like sort of lightning come off of them, and on the other side of the 2-page layout there's just these like fractured panels of Dr. Zoo and Wilfred the priest, and we see their hands getting close to each other, and then they're holding just in a kind of sense where they're sort of in this together and they're getting ready to do this scary thing that they don't quite understand yet. So they're going to go traveling through the multiverse of Gideon Falls to try and get to Norton to hopefully get to the center and fix all this and maybe close the rift. I assume that's what the whole goal is close the rift so nothing can come through it, and maybe send the smelling man packing. Now, how did they get the smelling man back in there? That's maybe another question for a future issue. But yeah, we see Clara in that of arrest the nurse. We see that Norton / Danny and his dad have gotten out of the hospital, and the final cliffhanger is like Norton's dad says, no, we're not going home, we have to go get help. And he's like, from who? And he's like, it's time, son, we have to gather the plowmen. The plowmen being the group of guys who were like a kind of a club that always kind of tried to like research this barn stuff and try to stay on top of all the weird happenings in the town. Which, again, this is another good example of, like, Norton has no idea what that is, because that was something that was only in this small town version of Gideon Falls. But to the reader, it means a lot, because we remember him talking about all this stuff. So, yeah. I think the way that all of this feels so thought out, and it's all sort of coming together and feels like it makes a lot of sense, especially to someone who has enjoyed, a TV show like a Twin Peaks or like any kind of long-form story that starts off weird, but once you start to get the lore unpacked, it all starts to click in place, and you like I think it's going down paths that I really like. It's playing with like sci-fi and weird supernatural concepts that interest me, because the idea that this is like a science fiction like conceit, which is the multiverse of the Gideon Falls, and it was caused by a machine, which is very science fiction-y, but that in doing so, it opened the door to a supernatural, maybe demonic, if you want to call it, that entity that is like the threat of the story, is a really interesting mix, and it's like this consequence for the mad science kind of thing. And maybe the reason why Norton was taken by the entity is because, he was easily corruptible because he was already a murderer. He was like a bad person. He was maybe open to being consumed. And the only reason why the thing's been staved off all this time is because the other people that he's trying to get into are better people who are trying to fight him and trying to not let him in. So very, very curious to see the next steps of this. But the last like 3 issues of this have been like complete bangers, where it feels like everything's paying off that's been set up for like 15 issues. So yeah, easy. Oh, at least a 9. I want to say 9.5. 9.5. This is a fantastic issue. 9.5. This was phenomenal stuff. Art was fantastic as always. You know, they know when to do a 2-page spread. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. That is that. Which will take us out to the final part of the show where we pick our favorite stuff of the week, favorite panel/moment, favorite cover, favorite art, and of course top 5 books. So start it off, Matt, with your panel/moment of the week.
Oh man, okay. So the I do love the reveal and flash of Abracadabra. I think that's really, really well handled. Also, in Batwoman, that entire sequence with Beth in the house and Kate's house going through, I think that's really well. But Nightwing, the sequence when the guy's telling the story and it cuts back to Dick in the crowd and he's doing the like ashamed the way that that's handled with the grid is put out by Cowan, so good. That's mine.
Yeah. Nightwing. Part of me wants to say the chase of the guy after, like the whole, you know, the fake witch kind of like turning herself in, like that chase afterwards is kind of a contender. That's really good. Yeah, I think it has to be that. I think it has. It's definitely from Nightwing. I don't think any of the other books would be competing with it for me this week on best moment. So it's either that or maybe the woman's story, actually, of the compassionate memory.
That's a real good part too. That really hit, because like you said, it's two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
You know, the super violent, but then also the caring, compassionate side.
Yep, for sure. All right, the cover of the week, I mean to say. It's been a long recording. My brain's completely fried at this point. So there's a lot of good covers. There's a cool Dust and Wind Nightwing cover where it's kind of like dripping rain, sort of like just like the outline of his blue parts over the city, which is really nice. There's also a Tim Bradstreet variant, which is a really just simple one of him looking down, standing there in the outfit, but it's just really nicely shadowed and stuff like that. The Absolute Flash cover, the main one, is very good. I feel like I've not really ever picked an Absolute Flash cover before. They tend to, I think, just be kind of bland, but this one actually is quite nice. Very detailed, and it's sort of teasing the Zolomon fists coming in and punching him from the weirder fight scene later on in the issue. My pick, though, for the week is between two Absolute Green Arrow covers. So there's one by Martin Simmons, which is like kind of the Green Arrow killer standing against a wall, and you've got some arrows in the foreground. It's just very detailed, very atmospheric, kind of painted quality. And then the other one is the Terso Cons variant, which is also the Green Arrow killer aiming an arrow. And it's just very moody, red eyes, all that stuff.
It's so moody, of the Green Arrow symbol behind him from that series. So it looks really cool.
I think I'm going to go with the Terso Cons one. It's pretty close, but yeah, Absolute Green Arrow had two good variants this week. So there you go. What about you, Matt?
Yeah, so you brought up that one, the Nightwing and the Absolute Green Arrow that I was going to bring up. Oh, Dark Knights of Steel has a Travis Moore.
Oh, sure. I was going to say that the main Green Arrow, Absolute Green Arrow, was actually very good as well. The Grundy one. Yes. I just forgot to mention it. But on you go.
With Grundy. Dark Knights of Steel, Travis Moore. It's got not Kara, also known as Zala, and Diana. They look like they're up in the sky, and Diana has the lasso around them. They look like they're about to kiss. It's a very tender, nice cover. Lucas Meyer also has a variant for Dark Knights of Steel. That is, you got Kal-El, Aquaman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, Diana, all there in the great Lucas Meyer style. They all look very fantastic. Like, I feel like if they were going to do like a Justice League of Steel, this would be the cover for it. There's a Sejic cover for Batwoman that has Alice, right, in the costume that she wore, but she still has the blonde wig on. And it looks like she's in a cave, like, kind of setting. There's water around her, and these red bats flying around her. That's quite stunning. So yeah, those are some options. But I'm gonna go with the main Nightwing cover because it's got the courthouse. It's on that orange, background with the justice statue and the police taking him away with Dick yelling no. I just think that's a really stark cover and has absolutely nothing to do with what happens in the issue, which I always quite funny. But yeah, that's mine.
I mean, it's at least it's about the court, at least the courthouse. It's teasing what might happen, so it still feels relevant to me. Whereas some covers are like just have nothing thematically to do with what's going on,
Right.
Anyway, but yeah, that all fair. All right, what about art of the week, Matt? On you go.
This is because Cowan's really strong for Nightwing, but so was Spokes for Batwoman, and that's what I have it down to. And despite I'm not a fan of the professional model looking Bruce Wayne, the rest of that stuff in Batwoman was top notch. And we're not probably going to get Spokes in a minute. But that was Cowan's also last issue of Nightwing, I believe. Yeah, man, what a choice. I'll give it to Batwoman.
Okay, interesting. Schmidt was good on Darkness of Steel, but I think I have to go with Cowan. I mean, Albuquerque was also good in Absolute Green Arrow. Robles was solid on Absolute Flash, but it's Cowan for Nightwing. It was by far just the art I was most just engrossed with this week. I was super into the vibe of it and the tone, and it was aiding the story immensely. So I'm going to go with that. But yeah, there was a lot of solid art this week. Nothing to complain about for the most part. All right. What is your top 5 books of the week?
All right. So number 1 is going to be Nightwing. Number 2 is going to be Absolute Flash. 3 is Batwoman. 4 is Deathstroke. And 5 is Dark Knights of Steel.
Okay, my number 1 is Nightwing. Number 2 is Batwoman. Number 3, Absolute Flash. 4, Dark Knights of Steel 2. And 5... what have I not said? I guess Absolute Green Arrow would be 5? Because they ain't going to be Superman Unlimited. I'll tell you that much.
No.
Yeah. So yeah, there you go. There's my top 5. So I'll now tell you what's coming next week from DC Comics, everyone. Coming next week, we got Absolute Wonder Woman issue 23, Absolute Catwoman issue 3, Detective Comics 1112, Superman 41, Justice League Unlimited 22, Zatanna issue 5, Poison Ivy 47, The Flash issue 36, Green Lantern issue 38, Batman Bad Seeds Sunset issue 1. So the Bad Seeds crossover does start next week, actually.
Yep. So read Poison Ivy. If you're reading Poison Ivy and Bad Seeds, read Poison Ivy first. Sure.
Yeah, that's a good point. So yes. The lead in is next week, and then obviously all the regular Bat books will be taken over with it next month. Also, next week we got Harley Quinn issue 65. We have Next Level One Shot issue 1. We have Black Tower, The Raven Conspiracy issue 1. So that's the new Ram V book. So we'll definitely be having a look at that.
Yep.
And then we also have Superman Father of Tomorrow issue 4. And then it's just a bunch of facsimiles and reprints and the usual stuff. But yeah, fairly busy week. Interesting new issue 1. Started the crossover with the one shot. So there's some meaty stuff to do. And also part 4 of Kingdom of Zod, which sadly is now something
Pete, start with that, please. Don't give yourself whiplash. It's easier to start on the bottom and crawl your way up. All right?
Well, yeah, but that was the problem. I started with that and then read Nightwing, and it was like, you know...
Oh, shoot.
That was the
I didn't realize those were your out-the-gate reads.
Yeah. There was a problem. So... Anyway, that is the show, everyone. Thank you for joining us. You can, of course, support everything over at Patreon, patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. Helps out a bunch if you do. Keeps the show coming, so thanks to everyone who already does. You do get some bonus stuff. You get the show a little bit early. You get access to a couple of classic comic book reviews we're doing monthly. We already did all of Batgirl Year 1. Right now, we're working through Gotham Central and Alan Moore's Swamp Thing. I just posted the second Gotham Central issue in the last couple of days, actually, at the time of recording this. So, so hopefully people are enjoying those if you're signed up on the Patreon. But thank you once again to everyone who already does support us. It really does mean a lot. Otherwise, though, like, subscribe, ding the bell, rate us 5 stars on your podcast app. All that stuff does help. But that is the show. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We do appreciate it. Keep reading DC Comics, and remember to never get lost in the Speed Force.